Well, hey, it's time for Ask the Tech Guys. Coming up, Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, rates your best submissions for the Minimalist photo assignment.
And I'm Micah Sargent, and we answer a question that plagues Apple Watch users everywhere. Why are my notifications not showing up on my Apple Watch and instead showing up on the iPhone?
It's drove me crazy. I'm glad you got a solution. And then we celebrate from Lincoln, Nebraska to your tummy, 75 years of runs.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Ask the Tech Guys with Micah Sargent and Leo Laporte, episode 2029, recorded Sunday, June 16th, 2024. Peak Bougie. Well, hey. There's Micah Sargent.
Hello, Leo.
And I'm Leo Laporte, and this is Ask the Tech Guys, the show where we answer your tech questions at 888-724-2884. Now in our 20th year of answering tech questions. This is episode 2029.
Holy moly. It also...
And yes, we started at 1. This isn't like season 20, episode 29 or something like that.
No.
Season 2, episode 029, like some podcasts do. This is episode 2029.
That is incredible, honestly.
It's amazing.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, by the way, happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you very much, and happy Father's Day to your father.
Yeah, and to all the fathers out there.
And to all the dads.
Yeah.
This, I used to think this was a Hallmark holiday, chiefly when it was Mother's Day and I had to buy a gift. But now that it's Father's Day...
Oh, suddenly it's different?
Suddenly it's different. My ex sent me really sweet pictures of me and my son playing and stuff. My son said, "You're the best dad ever." I get a little text message from him. So it's actually a nice feeling.
Nice.
Text your dad if dad does text.
Right. If dad texts, text your dad.
Text your dad.
If dad calls, maybe you call your dad.
Yeah. I haven't talked to Henry on the phone in like a long time. It's a text relationship or lunch. Text or lunch.
No,
which I think is a good thing.
I prefer those actually.
Yeah.
We're in person.
Yeah.
I don't like calls. I hate talking on the phone.
Aren't you funny? Because I do too.
Ugh.
Maybe that's why we get along.
Yeah. We never talk to each other. I don't think I've ever talked to you on the phone.
I don't think you have, come to think of it. And we've known how long have we known each other?
Since 2018.
Since a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, good news. First of all, Apple had its event. You and I were there Monday morning.
We were somewhere.
We were here, but we were watching.
We were watching it.
We watched it on TV, which is all Apple lets me do anymore.
Mm-hmm. Me too again, so.
Yeah, that's your association with me. It's not your fault. It really isn't. It's because they go, "Oh, you work with Leo? Oh, well, you're never getting to go to another event." Jason Snell gets away with it, though, so it's okay. Somebody gets to go. And they announced no new hardware, but they did announce iOS 18, macOS 15, watchOS, I can't even
11.
keep 10, 11, I don't know. tvOS, we don't know. All the new ones. They're all new. Now with AI, which is funny though, because they went an hour and a half without saying the letters AI, and then they said, "You know what AI stands for? Apple Intelligence," which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, no, they did a good job. We've talked about this a lot, I think, on various shows. The fact that they really positioned this quite well, clearly very thoughtful about how they were going to show off the intelligence features, how they were going to brand it, what they suggested is what mattered to them, et cetera, et cetera.
And I have to say, I thought, I would like that. Although the good news is followed by bad news. You ain't going to get that for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, and we reiterate now with even more gravity, if you're tempted, A, you're not going to get those features, and B, the beta is breaking everybody's computers, phones. A lot of people having springboard issues.
Yes, and that's what we talked about.
We said that's what would happen. You were right.
So if you had thought about getting it, I think that, and you're right, I think that many people would try to get the beta because they saw these new Apple generation features. You're not getting Genmoji. You're not getting none of that stuff is in the beta yet. It's not available.
It's probably
not
going to be available when it comes out in September. It's probably later this year or next year.
Yep. And I even saw something that suggested that even for people who are doing the betas, that there's going to be a wait list for it.
Wow.
So you will be on the beta, you will apply to get on the wait list, and then they'll flip a switch to let you do it.
Just wake me up when it's available,
There
will you,
go.
please?
Wake me up before
I
you
have to say, though, they kind of downplayed one feature, and they didn't even mention another feature that I think are two very important features.
Ooh, which two?
So they downplayed the fact that Apple Messages, with all its shiny new features, will finally support RCS, the rich communication systems that Google supports, which means Android folks, yes, you'll still be a blue bubble, but a
green one.
Or green, whatever color you are now, you'll stay that color. I can never remember. See, I'm not paying attention.
Because it doesn't matter, yeah.
It doesn't matter. But you will. What does matter, full quality pictures and videos. No more of this downgrading thing.
Voice messages.
All of the
audio.
features of a real messaging system.
I'm excited about that because I've talked before about it's the big thing for me is I wasn't sure. I don't need to know if someone's read a message, but I want to make sure that it's delivered. And so what I used to do when I would message somebody like Jason Howell, who's on Android, was I would split up my messages into multiple because I didn't know if the full message was going to deliver. I didn't know if video and photo was going to make it. All of this stuff. Now at least we get to see delivered. And if they have read receipts or read receipts turned on, then that will also be possible. That's the one thing I've cared about.
Yeah.
Genuinely. So I'm really excited about that. What's the other one that they
The one they didn't even mention at all, that nobody said anything about, starting in September, you will be able to rename Siri to anything you want.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Sort of.
You don't have to say, hey, Shlomo anymore. You could say what you type it in, so you can really say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it won't apply, unfortunately, it won't apply to the other Apple devices like the HomePod,
Right.
which means I'll have to get used to having different names. But I think SIRI responds too easily to too many things.
Oh, so you want to say like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Well, what I used to do on the 10 years ago, Moto phones used to do this.
Wow.
They let you rename them. I changed my text to help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that doesn't come up in conversation. Usually.
No, that's a good point.
Unless you're at a Star Wars convention, but other than that, and so it was and it felt kind of fun saying that.
Yeah.
So I might say, hey, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
By the way, this is activated through, it's kind of a roundabout process, the way that it works. It's not just you'll go into the SIRI settings and change the name. Instead, there are new voice commands that are available as part of accessibility features where you can create phrases.
This is accessibility.
And so, yeah, it's an accessibility feature where you can make a phrase that then goes forth and triggers
I guess that's
SIRI.
okay. They often put stuff in accessibility first, see how people like it, see how it works, and then make it available to everybody. Here's the Verge.
Yeah, they're called custom phrases.
Custom phrases. Well, okay, I think that's a big deal because, frankly, it's ridiculous that we all have to say, you sound so much like sincerely and sorry.
Yes.
It gets triggered
All
often.
the time. Yeah, often. Just like that. Just like that.
And by the way, I don't know why, but she said, okay, media will play softer. Did I say that should happen? I don't think so.
It's fun you always do try to think back, like, what did I say and how did it kind of sound like that?
But this is why, in some ways, what Apple said with Apple Intelligence, it gives us all great hope that maybe Siri won't be such a nitwit. But then I start to think, but they've had many years to do this, and they've yet to.
Yeah. In fact, that was one of the things that I talked about with Jennifer Patterson-Tui of The Verge on Tech News Weekly. She shared a piece about how Siri is, supposed to be this new voice assistant, but that there's been so much time.
We hate her so much.
And the another big problem of it is that there arguably is a level of hubris involved in the sense that instead of just breaking it down and building it new from the ground up with this LLM approach, they all want to hold, by they, I mean like Amazon and, well, frankly, Amazon and Apple, the two big voice assistants, I guess Google to a certain extent, they don't want to just start over entirely. So they're kind of adding little toolkits onto the assistants that already exist, and that's what's making it more difficult to do it right. So it's complicated.
It's really important that as we emerge from the reality distortion field of an Apple event, that we start to think critically and say, that all sounded really good, but what's it going to look like? How's it going to work?
And when's it going to get here?
When's it going to get here?
Mark Gurman said, I think it was even as of this morning, that Siri, the new Siri, is probably going to be the last thing that we see, that everything else will come first before the new Siri does.
Well, what's going to come before then? The EU is going to set to charge Apple.
Okay.
Remember Apple, the EU said you have to open your store. You have to make it possible for people to sell apps outside the App Store. And Apple grimly, maliciously complied, saying, yeah, but we're going to still charge you 27%. And we're not going to make it easy. The EU said, no, that's malicious compliance. So it isn't official yet, but according to 3 people in the know, the European Commission has determined the iPhone maker is not complying with its obligations to allow app developers to steer users to offers outside the App Store without imposing fees on them. This is from the Financial Times. Financial Times, I think, is fairly reliable on this. And the charges would be the first brought against a tech company under the Digital Markets Act. So this is a very big deal. Meta will also be charged, according to this story. And the potential fines are huge.
Finally.
Yeah, huge. So Apple, I think, did something a little childish. They said, well, okay, you're going to make us do this. We're going to do it this way. And the EU said, no, go to your room. That's not okay. We want you to do it in a real way that it complies with the spirit of what we're asking you to do. Be very interesting. Apple does not like this. But you know what? Probably they weren't being childish. They would have just made a calculation. Let's see what we can get away with.
Right.
And, we didn't get away with that. Okay, let's see what we can get away with next time.
We'll just adjust it ever
a tiny bit. And here's one sad story. You maybe have seen Alex Stamos on our shows. Love Alex. He's been on Twig and Twit. He is a security guy, a researcher, and for a long time was the director of what Stanford called its Internet Observatory, where they kept an eye on misinformation, and they kept an eye on attempts to influence our elections and things like that. The Stanford Internet Observatory. But as many have pointed out, there have been multiple lawsuits against them by conservatives. They've been served 3 times by conservative groups saying that the Stanford Internet Observatory illegally colluded with the federal government to censor speech, forcing Stanford to spend millions of dollars to defend it. This is not the only university. Harvard, remember, had a similar project, which they disbanded. There's a lot of pressure on these researchers who are researching election manipulation and disinformation, including lawsuits. Stanford's shutting it down. They said, you know what? It exposes us to too much, so they're dismantling it. Alex had already taken another job. The director took another job. I think they knew. Obviously, they were told ahead of time.
Yeah,
we're going to be shutting this down. That's shameful, if you ask me, because the internet is an opportunity for people to spread misinformation, to attempt to influence elections. And if the researchers who are studying this are sued out of existence, there's nothing to stop it.
This is awful. And of course, in the lawsuits, they included students. So then those names were published as well.
They published the names. Yeah. Isn't that sad? Anyway, Casey Newton and Zoe Schiffer had the story in their Platformer newsletter, which is an excellent newsletter. Highly recommend it. And they talk about the campaigns against these people, including the House Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, which in fact has been used to weaponize federal government. This isn't politics, folks. It sounds like it's politics. It's Democrats versus Republicans. It's not. It really isn't. This is about a free and open democracy, and it's a sad state of affairs. All right. Coming up in just a bit, Rod Pyle, Spaceman. And then Chris Marquardt is going to review your submissions, which makes me mad because I really wanted to submit something for, what was it? Minimalism. I really wanted to submit something and I didn't get around to it. And now it's too late.
But next time.
I also have mixed feelings because when I submit something, I feel like, I got my thumb on the scale. What Chris does is he separates my photo out.
It doesn't get it. It's its own area.
But then I feel bad because I feel like, well, he maybe feels forced to talk about it. And maybe he thinks it's a terrible photo, but he still has to talk about it.
I think you're thinking too much into it.
Am I putting too much into it?
Maybe.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Scooter X. This suddenly popped up in the chat, this horrifying image. Or video.
Minimal, not manimal.
Yeah.
Okay, very important to make that distinction.
Human man turning into some sort of
That's
leopard creature, and that's horrifying.
That was, remember in the, before there was AI, we had morphing.
Morphing, yeah. Oh my goodness.
When you morph one image into another image?
I liked those, but not that.
Not that. That's a morph. All right. I think John Ashley is going to give us some direction here as to what we should do. Should I do it? Yeah. He's going like this. That means squeeze out the towel.
Yeah.
Squeeze it out.
It's actually an udder technique.
No. I know how to milk. Have you ever milked?
I've never milked a cow.
See, it's funny because you're from St. Joe, Missouri, where the cow milking, but I'm from Petaluma, and we have which is coming up, and you should go in June, the county fair, and there is a cow milking competition.
Wow.
You could participate in if you wish.
I've always wanted to milk a cow. I know it's
actually fun.
I think it'd be fun.
It really is fun. And you could squirt it in your mouth if you really
pass.
No, you don't want that.
Prefer mine pasteurized. Thank you.
Yeah, you're probably smart. They're clean cows though. They clean them up just for the show. They brush them, they curry comb them, they do all that kind of stuff.
Spray them down with pesticides.
Spray them with pesticides. ZipRecruiter is our sponsor for this segment of Ask the Tech Guys, and we love ZipRecruiter. Did we hire you through ZipRecruiter? We didn't. Sometimes we know people, like I knew you ahead of time. But when we have to fill a position, we had a continuity opening when our wonderful Ashley said, I got another job, I want to move. And we said, oh my gosh, you're giving us 2 weeks notice. What do? We go to ZipRecruiter, the fastest way to hire. And it really works because nowadays it's hard to find good people because there's a lot of competition. It is an employee market. Employers have to really get ahead of the crowd, and that's wonderful. ZipRecruiter does that. There's a famous Abe Lincoln quote, "Good things come to those who wait." But actually, that's only part of the quote. I'm told the full quote is, "Good things come to those who wait, but only the things left after those who hustle."
Wait.
Yeah,
Lincoln said hustle?
I think he said hustle. If you're a business owner and want the best people on your team, that's what we did. We went to ZipRecruiter and we got the wonderful Viva. The same applies. Thankfully, ZipRecruiter puts the hustle in your hiring so you find qualified candidates fast. You beat the other guys to the best candidates. And now you could try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter's smart technology finds top talent for your roles right away. As soon as you post your job, ZipRecruiter's smart technology starts showing you people who are qualified for it, sometimes within minutes. We almost always find qualified candidates within the first hour or two. Let ZipRecruiter give you the hiring hustle Abe Lincoln says you need. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/twit to try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/TWIT. ZipRecruiter.com/twit. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. You know what else Abe Lincoln said? Don't believe everything you read on the internet. He said that. And he was right. Thank you, Honest Abe. Now, I think it would be a fun time to take a call.
Yeah, let's talk to Matthew.
Matthew, join us. Matthew.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello,
Can you hear
Matthew.
me?
Yes.
Yeah, where are you calling from, Matthew?
Currently, eastern Nebraska somewhere. I'm on a road trip.
I was going to say, you're not sure. It must mean you're driving. I hope it means you're driving.
Currently,
Yeah.
I don't know where I am, man.
I just woke up here.
Are you on a motorcycle ride, an RV trip, just commuting?
No, it's just driving back home to the Midwest to visit some family.
Nice.
Oh,
live in Denver normally.
There's a lot of corn in Nebraska. I remember going through it on a train, and it seems like it goes for a long time. Must be even longer when you're driving.
Yes, it does.
Matthew, what can we do for you?
I'm a longtime listener and a Club Twitch member.
Woo, thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
And it's my second time calling. I have a kind of a two-parter about, I guess, IoT devices and my HomeKit network. Currently, I'm moving into a condo that's just been remodeled, and I have all these IoT devices of various, brands and models. And I have an IoT network set up with a 3-router kind of configuration.
Okay, that's Steve Gibson's weird but effective technique.
Yep. Yep. The problem is I live on probably the most dense residential corner in Denver. So when I open up my Wi-Fi, there are hundreds and hundreds of networks available.
Oof.
And I've kind of dedicated this IoT network to a 2.4 gigahertz network. And so I've found it to be very spotty.
One of the problems with 2.4, one of the reasons it's good to use 2.4 is a lot of iOS devices don't know about the higher bands, 5 and 6 gigahertz. So I do the same thing. But the downside of 2.4 is it travels the best. So if you've got a congested network, it's highly likely there's a lot of other devices in that 2.4 range that might be congesting the connection. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just getting a lot of, I think just all the other networks out there are just kind of interfering with everything I've got going on this IoT network. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a way, if there's any way other than just make sure I buy IoT devices or replace ones that only do 2.4 and just kind of, well, that would be a start.
5 gigahertz.
In fact, one of the things that they did on Wi-Fi 7, the latest Wi-Fi, is they've added another 6 gigahertz channel. 6E also does this. And the nice thing about it is it doesn't travel through walls. That's both the upside and the downside. It would not get to your neighbors, and the chances are, because it's Wi-Fi 7, they wouldn't have it. But obviously, it wouldn't work. You wouldn't get the benefits unless you're using a Wi-Fi 7 IoT device, which seems highly unlikely. So, this is, by the way, somebody's pointing out the Thread, which is the IoT radio that's supported by Matter, is in fact designed exactly for this, to avoid this kind of congestion. Yeah, I mean, that's my main advice here was going, it stinks that this is the way to do it, but sincerely, it seems that the best bet is to find devices that are using a network other than the 2.4 gigahertz network. Yeah. Just because, I mean, you're right. The reason why you're probably having issues is because of that. Congestion. Occasionally, I don't know what routers you're using, but there are some that are smart about changing channels more frequently, and that can kind of help. It doesn't help a lot. It's kind of like it's like you're in a crowded room, everyone's talking, and the person who's trying to get your attention shouts a little bit louder. So maybe you pick them out. There's still going to be a lot of congestion. It's going to be hard to hear them, but there's at least a little bit of a better connection. But that's just not, again, not going to be as good. They're supposed to do that. And so you can also do it manually. Yep. Here's the thing to understand, though. It sounds like there's a lot of channels. There's 11, right? But really, there's only 3 that matter. You got, because each channel is a center and then 2 side bands, and then so that's 1, 2, 3, and then you go to 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8, 9. So you can't really, you only have 3 that are going to give you some isolation, which I think, as I remember, I'm trying to remember, is it 2, 5, and 9? I can't remember, but you could look that up. And so you could manually choose those. There are also useful tools that I have recommended in the past for doing a Wi-Fi assay, a survey of what the congestion is, what the channels are, and all that. Usually, it's better to let something like Eero do it. Eero's a lot of these routers are very good at that. But by the way, modern routers, you don't have to do the 3-router solution anymore because they support VLANs, virtual LANs that do the same thing. They isolate stuff. 1, 6, and 11 says Retcon. He's an IT guy, so he knows. So you want to use 1, 6, and 11. So that in effect, those are the 3 you use, Retcon. Channels 1, 6, and 11 are special numbers in the wireless world, he says, as they're the only channels
that do not overlap.
That don't overlap. That makes sense. So if you used a Wi-Fi analyzing program, they don't work on iOS, but they work on Android or Windows or Mac, and then figured out what channels were congested where, you could manually set a device to say, you use channel 1. Usually you do that in the router by assigning the channels to the device. It's kind of a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess.
This is in theory gonna, as Wi-Fi, they understand this as Wi-Fi evolves. Wi-Fi was a surprise success, and now it's everywhere constantly, and you constantly see signals. Even in my little cul-de-sac in the middle of nowhere, I see every neighbor's Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Kinda,
and if you've got apartments around, or you're in an apartment, if you've got a lot of buildings around you,
yeah, I've got 77% network congestion on the 2.4 gigahertz band. Eero has all of that information as well, so you can see.
Oh, you can actually see it in the Eero.
Yeah, I see the busyness, the noisiness, when it decides to change a channel to try to save on things.
Since you're in the club, Matthew, I would you might want to check out the really good stuff that Retcon is posting in our live chat right now. He is an IT professional, works for a big company in the area, and he probably deals with this all the time. He says 36, 40, 44, and 48 are the best 5G channels, but he has some other recommendations. So, yeah, there are 24 channels in 5G where they're non-overlapping, because each channel is separated by 4 numbers. You can put the whole list in there. I'm not going to read that. It is complicated. I recommend Wi-Fi Analyzer or something like it to check, and what you'll get is a map, and you can move around. The reason it's nice on Android is you move around from room to room and get a map. When I installed, we kind of went crazy during COVID and put in Ubiquity everywhere, and I think I installed 6 access points, but we mapped it very carefully before we did it to look for the dead spots and stuff. And that was I think Wi-Fi 5. I don't think it was Wi-Fi 6 yet. So I probably should upgrade that. Might be time to upgrade. It's a tough one. This is where
that's what I'm thinking. This
is where
just
Eero's good.
Getting rid of this 2.4.
What are you using for routers?
One is I have the Verizon Home as kind of the sort of external.
Oh, so you're using their 5G service.
Yeah, I have the 5G Home.
Oh, I really liked that. I got that for my daughter, and I really liked it. I was very impressed.
Yeah,
cheap.
I'm getting like 1.5 gigabits. It's amazing.
You must be right next to the tower. Wow.
Yeah, I think so.
That's fantastic. What?
Yeah.
Maybe I should try that. What? Holy cow.
Yeah.
But then at that point, you want to get an Eero or something that's going to smartly manage it, and then you don't have to have the three Wi-Fi.
I've been thinking about sort of dismantling this 3-router system. The other ones are just routers I've compiled over the years. So maybe
I think it's time. And Eero will handle all of that segregation of IoT automatically for you. It will choose the right channels for you. I have to say, there's a risk. What I did with having all of those access points was risky because they interfere with each other.
Yeah.
So you really, sometimes it's better to have fewer access points. You may find you get better results with just a Eero base station and a few beacons.
If that.
Yeah, if that.
Because at first
it's just a 1-bedroom.
Oh, yeah. So one would be enough.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely would be enough.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best solution we can recommend, other than, doing it yourself. And man, I've had network engineers out to the house and they still are baffled by it all. We use Ruckus here, which is kind of a business solution.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, it makes a noise. It's not. But they've worked very well in a crowded thing. Wow, you didn't have to bring me all the Runzas. Have you ever had a Runza? While you're in Nebraska, as you're driving, you might want to.
I see a lot of them.
Sounded like the start of a joke.
You might want to. Well, I ordered a case of them.
Have you ever had a Runza?
These are sandwiches which are very popular, I'm told, in Nebraska. See that? Celebrating 75 years. You know what? They're just pierogi, really. That's all they are. But they're very popular. They have meat and filling and stuff.
Sorry.
Anyway, I ordered a case of those.
Were those in the freezer?
Yeah, I ordered them.
Oh, okay. So it was frozen.
We were talking about, what show was that? Was that Twig?
Whoa, that is fragrant.
It is.
Yeah,
Twig.
well, they're tasty.
Woo, I can smell that over here.
You know what? When you're driving through acres and acres of cornfields, sometimes having a Runza on the way, why don't you put that back in the freezer? I didn't realize I was going to get so many. That's the smallest.
Might have to stop one of these times.
You should try them. Apparently, they're very good.
Have you had
Thank
one
you,
yet,
John? No,
never.
They just came.
In all my years.
In all your years, I've never had. Oh, wow.
They're very fragrant.
Oh, they're pungent.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want a tasteless Runza.
No, that's true.
You want some onion in there.
I was going to say, it honestly just looked like a big hunk of bread, so I'm glad that it had more
There's
to it.
onion inside, and very much so. Matthew, we've not been any help at all. But
No, you've confirmed what I kind of
sometimes
already
tea
thought.
and sympathy is a good thing. I
Yeah,
think it's time to drop the 3-router thing. There's lots of issues, I think. And by the way, I did the VLAN with Ubiquity. So I have an IoT LAN and then what I call the secure LAN, which is for computers. Mm-hmm. The theory being you don't want a dumb IoT device with poor security to allow a bad guy into your main network. So they're isolated. But then you realize, well, wait a minute. Because they're isolated, every time I want to print, I have to switch over to the IoT network on my device, print, and then switch back.
Unwieldy.
It's unwieldy.
And that was actually part of my the second part. It goes to the second part of what I was going to ask, which is, and it's like I said, it's a HomeKit network. I recently got a couple of HomePods, and I've learned, they have to sit on that IoT network.
Right.
And if I want to use the HomePods like normal, I have to switch whatever device I'm on.
Right.
Yeah.
The IoT
it's the same thing with Sonos.
In order to get to them.
Yeah.
And so I don't think there's any way, unless you guys are aware,
there's a way. If you have
home them or something.
So if you have a VLAN, it's easier than with a 3-router. I don't even know how you would do it. Mm-hmm. With a VLAN, you write firewall rules that just let stuff back and forth, but only that stuff back and forth. That's all. You have to create rules to make the VLAN porous.
Which means, you've got to do like network mapping to figure out what's coming through that needs to come through.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I found it to be too complicated.
From everything I've read online, it just seems like you just want to have all your HomeKit stuff on your normal home network and just kind of assume that they're going to be secure.
Here's the good news, because it is
blessed by Apple.
It is HomeKit, which means it is secure.
Yeah, Apple has much more steadfast rules about the security of HomeKit devices versus others.
Plus, a company that's paying Apple for HomeKit certification, right? That's not a fly-by-night Chinese company. That's the bigger companies. So much more likely that you're going to have a device. HomeKit requires over-the-air updating.
Yes,
all of the things that we think are important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think. Don't do what I did.
Time to start over.
Yeah, maybe time to start over. Yeah. I'm really kind of, I feel what happens is eventually you move the printers over to the secure network.
Yeah.
Then you move the IoT.
Slowly,
then you move the doorbell over. Then you move them. But eventually everything on one network and it's like,
this is
nothing.
easier.
It's much easier.
It is.
Much easier. I'm thinking of just tearing it down and starting all over. Hey, Matthew, great to talk to you. Have a Runza on your way to see the family.
There's still time. I'm still in Lincoln, so I got a little bit of time left.
Oh, Lincoln's like Runza HQ. Oh, you're in good shape.
You could throw a stone and find a Runza.
I might have a Runza for lunch. Thank you, Matthew.
Good. Thank you, guys.
Take care.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
By how pungent it is, I feel like it might give you the Runza.
Well, it's gonna have onions. I got it. I actually thought of that and decided not to say it.
Because it's stupid.
I decided not to say it.
Yeah, good for you.
But fortunately, I have Micah here to give me the permission.
Kevin came over me and
Kevin King, who is our punster
in chief.
I was watching Master and Commander last night, and they said he who would pun would deal with the devil or something like that.
Abraham Lincoln said that, I think.
I think it was Abraham Lincoln, as a matter of fact. He loved the pun. Oh, he loved a good pun. So what should we do now?
Let's talk to this phone caller right here.
I feel like a helpless child every time I have to do that.
What do we do?
Hello, phone caller.
I'm going to hold your hand through the entire process. Don't worry.
We'll get him a leash.
Thank you, Daddy. Happy Father's Day. Hey, what's your first name and where are you calling from?
Chris from Clark, Colorado.
Hello, Chris from Colorado.
What's up?
How you doing? Well, first I have to laugh, Leo, about your ubiquity thing. I did the same thing. We built a house in the mountain, and I just filled this house with all sorts of access points. And I don't know, I feel like I'm geeking out, and I go out and look at the environment, the radios, and I think it's more of a marketing ploy. It says, "Oh, you need to add another access point to this access point."
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think they just want more money.
I honestly have been told time and time again, start with fewer rather than more, and only add them if you absolutely need them, because they interfere with one another. You really don't need many.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding. But speaking of marketing events, I just kind of had an observation. I do have a question later on, though. But you know how back in the day they said Facebook was bad for people because it made them feel bad about themselves?
Yeah.
Well, Apple events do that for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch that. They're beautiful people going to beautiful places with their perfect pictures. They got perfect handwriting. They're in perfect health. You know, you got the Ritz model on top of Mount Kilimanjaro saying, "Look at my watch." And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish
I never thought of that, Chris. And you're absolutely right. It is
aspirational.
Peak, well, it's just kind of peak bougie. Frankly.
Well, I bought everything, and I still don't have the beautiful people
around
bougie
me
enough. Taking pictures.
Yeah.
My photos don't look any better. But
that's what my daughter, my daughter, who's your age, calls it bougie. Mm-hmm. And I say, honey, let me give you an iPad. She says, no, that's bougie. Let me give you an iPhone. She says, no, that's bougie. I'm an Android gal. I won't touch Apple stuff. So, what can I say? She lives in Brooklyn, which is bougie.
That's bougie. Yeah.
But okay.
There you go.
So
one of the things that I did with Apple.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the things I did was, I had a million CDs that I burned way back in the day. And so when Apple allowed it, I did the Apple Match. Mm-hmm. And I subscribed to the Apple Match thing. Yep.
Smart. Very smart.
I also subscribed to the iTunes or whatever they call Apple Music.
Right.
And one of my favorite artists, he came out with a new CD, and I bought it, or I didn't buy it. I just liked it and downloaded it to my library with the subscription. And as happens, which I'm sure you've had callers talk about, one day all of a sudden I tried to play this album, and it said, no, it's not available in your area. And so it's one of those deals where they didn't pay the license or something. And, it's like, I guess it's common. And so I said, well, screw that. And I went off and went to Amazon and bought the CD and burned it on MP3, and boom, now I'm fine.
Good.
Well, that same artist released a newer title that's in the Dolby format. What's the surround? What do they call the Apple surround thing?
It's Atmos.
Well, it's Atmos, but they call it
spatial audio.
Oh, spatial.
Spatial audio. There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, well, okay, I'm not going to fall into that trouble again. And so I go to the iTunes store and I buy the spatial audio version of that CD. And it may be high res, maybe not. But the thought was, when Apple goes the way of BlackBerry, which I saw the movie last night, and that was pretty awesome.
Isn't that a great movie?
So when Apple goes out of business, yeah. So when they go out of business, I've got the file, but I noticed that the file type is some Apple TV thing. And when you double click on it, it opens up the Apple TV app. It doesn't really play it. So is there going to be, or is there a program out there that I'll be able to play this new format with when Apple goes the way of the dodo?
So let me run down some things with you. So you found out that the song was, or that the album was available, and did you get it first in Apple Music, and then you went and bought the CD in the Apple Music store, in the iTunes library store?
Well, there's two parts. So the first CD was just a good old fashioned CD.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's Vangelis's Nocturnes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went ahead and bought that CD, burned it. It's MP3. I know I'll be able to play that for the rest of my life.
Yes.
But then Vangelis released another album called Juno or something, and it was in the spatial audio format.
Yes.
And so I bought it through the iTunes store so I could know that I'm always going to have it.
Yes.
But if Apple, like Sony did a long time ago, just shut their shop down.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because I was trying to get clarity on if what happened was you downloaded the Apple Music version first before you bought the CD, and so what you were seeing in your Finder was the Apple Music version and not the one that you purchased, because Apple does a lot of space-saving stuff in the background to try to not make you take up storage space. So if you got it from Apple Music and then you bought it, it was going to have the files from Apple Music first, which are in their own unique format, before it ever went over and let you download it from your purchase. What I imagine is the case is that if you were to highlight that music and go up in the music app and choose File, Burn Playlist to Disk, or Convert, then it would let you either burn it to a disk and you would see that it exported in whatever format was more universal, or if you converted it, you could create an AAC version of the song since you purchased them. So those would be able to be available to you in a different format. As far as getting the spatial version, I don't know if there's an open source. It looks like Leo might be looking into it. If there's an open source spatial audio player.
So Apple Spatial is not proprietary. It's Dolby Atmos, right? So I think it's stored as an MP4 or 5. It's stored in it has some weird sparse bundle, something or other.
Let me see. I'm gonna get some. What was the name again?
Vangelis is the name of the artist.
I love Vangelis, by the way. Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
But it's weird that you can't. Some of his music is not available in the U.S. Huh?
Well, it was, and then they decided no, it's not available anymore. Yeah. So it's the Juno. If you look up Vangelis, it'll be the Juno. Yeah, Juno to Jupiter.
Okay, I'm going to download that, and we shall see what happens.
Yeah. So I think there will absolutely be a way to convert it if you can't just play it normally, because it's Dolby Atmos. It's encoded as Dolby Atmos.
Right. Well, and like I said, right now, Apple says, oh, you want to play this file? I'll do it on Apple TV. And I double click on it and it opens up the Apple TV app, but then it doesn't play it. Yeah. So I didn't know if there was another program that says, oh, I'll take this sparse Apple file format thing and rip out the Dolby stuff and play it for you. I mean, it'd be great to still play it in the surround sound. I mean, Ed, thanks for the tip, Mike, on down converting it to MP3, so at least, I'll have it at some format. But ideally, it'd be nice to have it at the surround.
You can always, of course, use iTunes to convert it into another format. But let's see if we can just play that. Can I play that native Apple Spatial music format without modifying it?
Yeah, if there's any program out there that would do it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm buying one of the songs here. It's down.
You are. Which one are you buying?
Sorry, Leo.
Just the second one. And then we'll see what happens here. So we've got this one. And
by the way, I'm glad that previous caller said that he was a Club Twit member, because I keep wanting to say I'm a Club Twitter.
I like Club Twitter.
Like
now that it's X, not Twitter, we can use that trademark.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if he kept the trademark. Xbox will play Apple Spatial music because Microsoft has its own spatial APIs. Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
But it's all Dolby Atmos.
Purchased AAC audio file
Right.
in.
I see a binaural renderer for Apple Music, which will make it so it works in your headphones. There's a web player. Good Lord! But what is the what is that format? Is what I'm. Is it lossless? Did you get lossless or not?
Mine's just showing as an M4A.
No.
Yeah, it's an M4A.
Yeah.
Does it say M4? Here, let me get to my computer.
Yeah, let's see what yours is showing.
Could have swore it said something like sparse bundle, something or other.
You see, that's why I'm still thinking you might be looking at
the sparse bundle. That's
Apple Music version of it.
That's how Safari stores its sparse
Okay.
bundle. I wonder if there's additional encoding information that's bundled
For whatever Apple was doing. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, you got us. What's happened?
Mm-hmm.
You hooked us.
You figured
We're now
out.
very curious. What the hell is?
Okay, so so you're looking at Inside Our Perspectives. Is that the one you got?
The song
Right.
was the second one on the album, which was, let me see.
Oh, now it's something new that I've never seen. So I did of course, it's downloaded to my library. So then I did the 3 dots and said show and finder.
Uh-huh.
And now it says that it's a kind of HLS media.
Yeah, see, mine's showing as an M4A. So,
Oh, no. Okay. It says kind of HLS media, but it's the .movpkg.
yeah, like a movie package, basically.
Right.
Now, let me see what.
So when I double click, then it brings up the Apple TV.
Part of this is that Apple has confused a number of terms into one thing. For instance, Dolby Atmos is surround. But one of the things Apple Spatial does, as you know, where you wear your AirPods, is when you turn your head, the sound source moves to the right.
Yeah.
You turn the head this way, which I hate. It's dopey, and it has nothing to do with music. It has to do with a TV set, right? Where my TV set is. Or maybe you're in a theater, I guess you could say that. So that, I don't think you care about that.
Yeah, and what?
Maybe I'm wrong.
So
you don't care about that.
Yeah, and I just looked at what, so I downloaded an Apple Music song, one that is not purchased. And in my library, it shows up as .m4p. That is the file type, M4P. So I don't know where you're coming up with these sparse bundles.
That sounds like he's downloaded a web page.
My other question for you is in the Apple Music app, in the playback section, look under audio quality. And under audio quality, there's a checkbox for lossless audio. There's a checkbox for Dolby, or there's a menu setting for Dolby Atmos. Do you have lossless audio selected there?
Yeah. Well, what do I say? I always say download the Dolby Atmos. So where do you want me to look? I'm looking at the music general.
Go to the music settings. So in the music, you're in general. Click on playback.
I'm on the computer. Okay.
Yeah.
Playback.
Click on playback and then look under the headline that says
lossless audio check. Lossless audio, and I said streaming the highest and download the highest.
Okay, so what does it say? High res lossless? Does it say lossless or does it say high quality?
Yeah. There's high res lossless, playback up to 24 bits.
The sparse bundle they're saying, and I think this is right, is it's an entire album delivered as a bundle of music. And if you open that and find it, that's just a disk image.
Just one piece.
You would just get the M4.
Yeah, you should be able to right-click on a sparse bundle and have it open up.
Here's the other piece of the puzzle. Our favorite audio Swiss Army knife, VLC does play Apple Spatial. So VLC, So VLC on iOS will play it back. I don't know if VLC on the Windows would, but I bet it would. So.
Wow.
The thing they're doing is they've got Dolby Atmos, which is the surround sound, plus head tracking, which you don't care about. That makes it spatial, Apple Spatial.
Okay. Here's okay. So when I set my settings to what you had, dear caller, then it did change to that .mov package file. So it seems like if you have it set to the highest res lossless version, then it does download as an mov.pkg. When I right click and choose show package as, it's just a bunch of XML stuff and fragments. So it's very much encrypted. So at least I know that I'm seeing the same thing as you. What I'm going to do now is go back and download the song that I purchased.
Here's by the way, a video player besides VLC that also plays Apple Spatial, including, I think, the head tracking, Infuse 7. It's a video player for Macintosh. So, and it does, but the reason all of these can work is because Dolby Atmos is a standard that and since you don't care about head tracking, which is, as far as I know, the only other feature of Spatial that you might lose, anything that can play back Dolby Atmos will be fine.
Yeah.
It's 12 o'clock.
Uh-oh.
Do you work in a clock shop?
Talk to your guy.
Big Ben is chiming. I love it.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm surprised you can hear that.
I
thought it was time for your next superstar guest to come on.
I have a cuckoo clock at home. I'm going to have to. It's funny because
I actually got one of those too.
Sometimes I'll go to bed and forget to turn off the cuckoo. And at 3 a.m, I go, oh, crap. Actually, it's usually midnight because it goes and goes and goes. And mine plays Edelweiss after it cuckoos. Aww. So it is a long performance. And I always have to remember, before you go to bed, switch off the cuckoos. There's it's a mechanical switch. Just like that. You see that? The lights just went out there. John is now going to get up. He's going to stick his head out the door, and the light will come on in 1, 2, 3. What are we looking for? Oh, you're done?
Yeah.
Oh, he's done.
I see nothing else other than I just wanted to let you know you're not alone. I'm also seeing that MOV PKG file format. So again, we go back to, you might just want to try the convert thing and convert the song if you want to play it elsewhere.
Yeah. And bless you for being a club Twitter.
Indeed.
You betcha. Will I automatically get notified when my year's up and I need to renew?
Yes.
Okay, because I feel like it's coming up. I'm like, I hope I didn't miss it. I hope it's.
Well, I think it auto renews. I think it auto renews.
But I think it still sends you an email.
But you should get notified. Yeah. And it will convert down to a monthly now because we got rid of the yearly because I was worried that we wouldn't last a year. So I didn't want to pay refunds. But you know what? Thanks to you, Chris, we will, because you are a member of the club, and thank you. I appreciate it. I think we crossed 12,000 members this weekend. And that is fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, that's really amazing. I'm very, very grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you.
Wow.
All right, Chris.
Just FYI.
Yes.
You bet. VLC didn't quite open it, but I'll play around some more with it and stuff. So if I find anything
let us
post or zap something,
anything that plays back Dolby Atmos should be able to play it back. And the format you want it in is probably an MP4 or an MP5 format, I would think. That would include the Dolby Atmos encoding. So maybe you have to convert it from whatever weird Apple format. Before the show's over, I will find something for you because that's driving me crazy. There should be very easy for you to take that whatever Apple has done and turn it into a standard playable Dolby Atmos.
Right, especially since I paid for it and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah, that seems obvious, and I don't know why we can't figure out how to do it. But that's Apple for you.
Well, I love that look on Micah's face. I mean, he's really thinking. He's really.
You can see the steam coming.
Either that or he's looking at.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much,
hey,
Chris.
thanks again, guys.
Appreciate your support. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Let's take a little break, and then it's Rod Pyle, Space Explorer. There's a lot of space news. We will be talking about that in a bit. But first, I want to show off my partner's handyman talents. Micah Sargent, with a simple Phillips screwdriver, was able to install the amazing Eufy Video Lock. Our show today brought to you by the Eufy Video Smart Lock E330. This is the device now. Combines a doorbell, a video doorbell, and a smart lock all in one device that you can install yourself in your existing, deadbolt opening. See how easy that is? And no drilling. And what do you get? Oh, you get a fingerprint reader with 0.3 second recognition. It's really, really fast. And 1 second unlocking. The deadbolt just... Plus, the embedded AI self-learning chip gets better, more accurate with every use. The battery in there, and he's going to put that in a second, is a 10,000 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. Easy to remove, charge up. It should last about 4 months. You'll get a notification before it runs out. You can control your front door remotely using that app there. Look, you're now pairing that to the lock. Now, using the app, you can just open the front door. There's a passcode on it too. There's a camera on it, and there's a fingerprint reader on it. Look how fast that is. I think that's so cool. Now, I love this feature. There's also a keyhole and a key. So, if you're old school or you just, the battery died or something, you can always use the key to get in. But you will love how this works. It includes passcode unlocking, remote control. That's 2K clear sight Michael's using. Burke says, I need in. He's using the two-way audio. He says, who are you? I'm Burke. Okay. And that even works at night with enhanced night vision. Plus, I always forget to lead with the biggest story of all. No monthly fees. Your videos are all stored locally. So it's private. You never have to pay for storage. There's no subscription. You buy this and you're done. 18-month warranty means no worries for a year and a half, right? This is going to be fine. Very affordable. All backed by Eufy's very good 24/7 professional customer service team. Eufy's owned by Anker, A-N-K-E-R. You know Anker. This is their home security, home automation brand. And I think it's really great stuff. EUFY, the Eufy Video Lock. Just search for it on Amazon. And they often have sales, by the way. Or visit eufy.com, EUFY.com. 3-in-1, triple security, Eufy Video Lock. Everything you want in one easy-to-install device. Even for an apartment, because you put this in, and then when you're going to move out, you just put the old lock back, save the old lock, so you can have this anywhere. Anywhere you got a deadbolt, this works. The Eufy Video Lock E330. Search for Eufy Video Lock on Amazon today. Thank you, Eufy. I feel like Eufy is what we call people from Newfoundland. No, that's a Newfie.
Oh.
Eufy. What do we call Rod Pyle? We call him our
Spaceman.
Spaceman. I have the pile right here of Rod Pyle's books, including Interplanetary Robots, True Stories of Space Exploration, Amazing Stories of the Space Age. This guy is prolific. I love this one. Plans, Blueprint for a Death Star. Well, a Battle Star, we have to call it. We can't say a Death Star. Battle Star.
Right.
Because
we were afraid of Disney.
Trademark George Lucas. He's also the editor-in-chief of the Ad Astra magazine, the official publication of the International Space Society. National Space Society. I made you international, but what nation? You don't say. It could be any nation. So it's international in that sense. And then you got to have this as on your coffee table, as I do. First on the Moon, a beautiful picture book of the Apollo 11 landing that came out for the 50th anniversary. Really nice job on this one. This is my favorite of yours. I love this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod Pyle.
Thank you for keeping my stack of books in your studio.
I have the Pyle.
We've already got too much stuff.
I love the Pyle. And we should mention Rod is also the host of This Week in Space with Tarek Malik of space.com. You talk every week about space. What's new in space?
Well, happy Father's Day.
Oh, same to you. Same to you. Happy Father's Day. We made it. Did you get texts or messages? Or
I got one text from the one person who should have remembered to do so. So yes, I'm happy.
I haven't heard from my daughter yet, but she's busy.
They get busy. Yeah,
she's busy. She probably forgot that it's Father's Day. No, it's okay.
Oh, she's sleeping in.
It's a Hallmark holiday. But
so, hey, speaking of Hallmarks, Starliner got off the ground.
Unbelievable. And I love that the Elon had says, if the gravity of the Earth were even just a little bit more, we wouldn't have been able to do it. Like, what is that information?
Oh, you're talking about Starship.
That's Starship.
This is Boeing's Starliner. Yeah. So
this is Boeing.
Who we loved. You know, we had kind of a Boeing week-to-week countdown on this week in space. Hey, what's leaking this week? You know, so
it's leaking.
They've been at this since they got contracted around 2010, along with SpaceX. The two companies got a contract to give replacement runs for the shuttle to get cargo and eventually people up to the space station. So a few years after that, Congress finally started sending them monies. They said, okay, SpaceX will give you $2.6 billion. I say billion. To build us Dragon capsules and take up astronauts 6 times. And Boeing, you get $4.2 billion. Now, it's never been made clear why Boeing got so much more, but there you go. So SpaceX in 2020 started sending up crews. They had been sending up cargo for about 5 years at that point. And they've sent crews up there 8 times, where Boeing has continued to have problems. So I'm just giving you the recap here, the play-by-play. So Boeing did 2 test flights.
They like it so much, they won't let it go now.
Well, yeah. So they did 2 test flights. One was kind of a belly flop. The other one went okay. Finally, they set up Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore on June 5th. So we were very glad to see that. There was a helium leak on the pad. They had something about Boeing and valves. There's just bad chemistry there. They've had valve problem after valve problems. They had problems with the parachute cords not working the way they should. Then my favorite was they discovered, oops, we wrapped all the wiring in the capsule in flammable tape. We have to take
God!
In the world?
How? What was it? Paper? What are you doing? That was
a year or 2 ago.
It was actually flash paper. They used flash paper.
Well, let's bear in mind, Boeing's been in this business since World War II. They've been building spacecraft since the late 50s, early 1960s. They were a part of Mercury. They were a part of Gemini. They were part of Apollo. They're part of the shuttle program. So it's not like they're first timers like, SpaceX, those guys. So anyway, they finally got off the ground. Very glad to see that. They've got 5 more to fly, at least, to fly out this first contract. We don't know whether they'll continue after this or not, because they've lost about $1.5 billion. So yes, they're staying over an extra, I think, 12 days till the 22nd.
This is Butch and Suri's tour.
Sunita,
of the Starliner. Look at this; they're floating around. This is cool.
I wouldn't want to be inside of it after hearing about the paper. I mean,
well, now we know tape. It's okay. It's been fixed.
Yeah, it's. It's probably the most fully vetted spacecraft that's ever launched.
And it was a completely successful launch, deployment, docking. In fact, they're still up there enjoying themselves.
Well, they did have some thruster shutdown. So here again, valves and software are the 2 bugaboos, we think. But it did seem to work okay. So it's on standby now, sitting there slowly leaking helium, I guess. They said they shut the valves. So I think that's okay. So yeah, they'll come back on the 22nd. Now this one, unlike SpaceX's capsules, this one doesn't splash down the water. It'll land in the Utah desert.
Oh, that's cool.
That'll be a change.
That's kind of neat. Yeah. That's how the Russians used to do it.
Yeah, well, that's how the Russians still do it when they fly. And so it's well-proven technology. So anyway, we're, clapping for Boeing. Yay, you finally did it. Where you been all my life?
Look at this video, and this is such a hideously complex thing. It's really kind of amazing. I mean, I know we knock Boeing and so forth, but This is really remarkable. What an achievement. Let's give him some credit. That's a hell of an achievement.
Well, and if you really want to be impressed, look at the video inside of a Soyuz capsule sometime, because you see these three people in there huddled side by side,
this is
surrounded
spacious.
by cables and vacuum tubes and stuff. Not vacuum tubes, but I mean, old style electronics. It's like, how they even sitting there. And I was talking to one of the astronauts a few years ago, and I said, it was Michael Alegria Lopez. And I said, how do you not get claustrophobic in there? You guys, I mean, you have stuff like 8 inches from your face. He said, as astronauts will, they're kind of like talking to football players, right? He says, well, we work with the team, and generally we do our simulations, and you find out pretty fast if you're claustrophobic. I guess you would.
I want to point out something, that these tablets that you kind of wish they were iPads, they're actually Windows tablets that they're using.
Are you sure?
Yeah, somebody told me that they were. Maybe you think they're iPads?
They should be Unix.
They might be running Unix. I don't know what they're running. Yeah, but
I hope they're not Amazon Fire tablets. Would you like to order some more coffee?
That'd be terrible.
Look at all those buttons. I just want to press all of them.
It really is.
And that's a lot less than they used to have, man. You look at the shuttle cockpit, and it's like everywhere you look, there's another 40 buttons.
Yeah, but these are highly trained, steely-eyed spacemen and women, and they know what they're doing up there, which is great. That's pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. Yeah, let's all give a little round of applause for Boeing. Yay, they finally got it done. We doubted you, but you did it. Now I'm worried about the ISS.
Starship?
I hear the ISS is starting to get a little leaky up there.
So we had that story on This Week in Space. So they had this emergency, quote unquote, last week. Oh my God, we've had a depressurization. What do we do? We have to do medical intervention for this astronaut. And Tariq Malik, my partner on This Week in Space. I mean, I do a quarterly magazine, so I listen to these things and go, oh, I wonder if they'll write about that. He's doing minute to minute space updates. So I think he was commuting from New York City back to New Jersey, and he heard, he got this phone call, and they said, there's been a leak, an accident on the space station. So, and he's trying to desperately get back to the office to write about it. It turns out NASA was doing an emergency drill simulation, but forgot to turn off the radio feed.
Oh, he freaked out. So go ahead.
This is an Orson Welles moment.
Everything's
right?
okay.
Oh,
by the way, this is definitely Windows. Look at it. Here's the tablet. There's the Windows start menu. There's the taskbar.
Oh my gosh.
This is a Windows
Why would
PC.
You do that to yourself?
I know. It's definitely Windows.
Updating.
Exactly.
Interestingly, it's not Windows 11. The start menu's on the far left. It's probably Windows 7. That would be the smart thing to
XP.
do. Yeah. That would be the smart thing.
A long, stable platform. Okay, so let's move on to Starship, since you mentioned it.
Yes.
So we had our
Elon's baby.
Elon's big science fiction rocket. We had our 4th test flight on June 6th, so the day after the Starliner launch, which, yes, it got very confusing for people. Previous 3 tests had all had problems, ended up in either unplanned explosions or destruct commands. This one got it right. They got up to an orbital trajectory with the top stage. The first stage did its burn back maneuver, came back and did a soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. So they didn't try to recover it. They just let it touch the water and then fall over. But they knew at least they could get it back where they wanted. And then the top stage, the Starship itself, the big shiny rocket, came down in the Indian Ocean after having performed its flight up to orbital trajectory, then its boost back maneuver and flip and all that. The only thing, and we saw it live on camera, I should have sent you a link. I'm sorry, I forgot to
heat me up one of those.
We had a little bit of a burn through one of the flaps up top. And we got to watch that live, which is the first time I've ever seen a piece of a rocket disintegrate on camera.
Ooh.
But it didn't come off. And the thing came down where they wanted. So we're thinking maybe the end of this month, early next month, we're looking at his next test where hopefully he'll make orbit and stay there for a period. So this is exciting.
We live in a new era of space, which is great. And there have been some hiccups along the way, but I think it's pretty incredible. It's very exciting.
Well, and Mike is the baby of the family, but Leo, you and I haven't
grew up with this.
Don't you hate it when people say this is like when we were kids? We were seeing this stuff every few weeks.
I'm loving this cockpit tour. It's amazing. It's on space.com if you want to watch it.
Has there been any progress on the spacesuits thing? That continues to be my main interest. I just find the whole thing.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because one of the things while we were monitoring the delays of when the Boeing capsule was going to come back was they were supposed to do a spacewalk. It got delayed due to quote, suit discomfort, unquote. So you're right. All those suits were built in the 1980s. They got to be getting stinky by now.
Well, also stiff.
The shuttle era.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just old, and you don't want, but I mean,
how when you put your clothes in this, I'm sure, Rod, when you put your clothes in the closet for a while, they all shrink. I imagine the same thing's happening to.
That's not.
I think that may be a problem you and I have, and it's not related to the clothing.
Every time I get my old pants out, they fit. They're tighter.
They've been running away. It's the moths in there. They're reweaving.
I just thought the clothes naturally shrink with age, and I imagine spacesuits the same thing.
Well, I have my space camp jumper over in the closet, and it's shrunk an awful lot since I first wore it in the 1980s.
Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, I have a jacket that my grandparents got me from Guatemala when I was a kid.
See?
And it doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit anymore.
Weird.
So
Leo, I presume you don't have jumpsuits, but you must have something. You've had that moment where you get the zipper up just about to your navel, and then it stops. And it's like you got to pull out and stretch over.
Yeah.
And then up.
That's embarrassing.
That's a horrible moment.
That's a terrible feeling when that happens. So the spaces, are they getting 21st century technology, or are we still stuck in the last century?
The shuttle suits, the ones we're talking about for the shuttle are EVA suits. So they have to go outside in those.
Right.
For the SpaceX Crew Dragon and
I like the
Boeing
SpaceX
Starliner,
suits. They're very fashionable.
Well, and those are just pressure suits.
Right.
So those are designed if you have a catastrophic.
And they have the nice boots.
Okay.
They're really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not made for going outside.
No, you don't go outside in those.
So Boeing's got these really cool blue, you probably saw pictures of them, blue spacesuits, a little bulkier than the SpaceX ones, but they've been working fine. But I think what you were asking about was the old suits and the ones that you do use for EVAs. So they are trying to re-engineer those with an eye towards moon surface suits, but it's going very slowly. And it's expensive. And, it's one of those things where they spent $1 billion plus already or maybe more. And kind of, from the press side, we're looking at NASA going,
these are nice looking suits.
You've done it before.
There's Mike Sooney and Butch in their new blue
pretty?
Suits. They're very pretty. Snazzy,
they kind of look like space gladiators.
Snazzy. Yeah.
And you'll notice, look at the helmets. They actually are soft and they flip up over the top and zip down. So you can just wear them like a hoodie.
Wow.
Wow.
They're
space hoodie.
thugs.
Space
thugs.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Do we have a little bit of time left?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I always
China.
time for space.
Let's thank China because Leo majored in Chinese.
Thank you, China.
Xie. Why? What'd they do?
Oh, I say that at the supermarket every week when I go there with my girlfriend. Yep. Yeah, they look at me like, look, the monkey can talk. So China landed their robotic probe Chang'e 6 on the far side of the moon on June 2nd. And actually, they haven't been doing this for that long, maybe 8 years for their lunar probes. Drill the sample core out of the surface. And this is the far side of the moon. We never landed anything there in the West, either us or the Soviets or the Russians. We talked about it, but we didn't do it because it's too hard to reach it by radio, right? You got to put up a satellite as a relay. So they did the drill sample, loaded it up, shot it back up into orbit. It docked with an orbiting vessel, and it's going to come back towards the end of this month.
Yay.
So
good for them.
They're making that look real simple.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, we're struggling with how to do this at Mars to the point that we are all thinking JPL may get their deal yanked, that it may get canceled. And looks to me like it's harder out there, but the Chinese have got it figured out for the moon. So they may bring back the Mars samples. I hope we can get our Mars samples.
I hope we can.
Well, the question is, we'll get them, but the question is, will we get them here in the U.S. or will China get them first? I think China will get them, and I think we're in a real foot race with the human lunar program because you know how things go in China, Leo. I mean, They said 2030 maybe for landing people, but we got the party anniversary coming up in 2029, and I think they'd take just about any chance to make it
I
work.
saw For All Mankind. I know that the Chinese win the space race. I do know that. Hey, let me show you what today's steely-eyed rocket man is wearing. This is the boy, does he
all
look
pumped
good.
up and ready to rock and roll.
Oh man.
Look at that.
Ooh,
that's
those
hot.
gloves are cool.
Oh man.
Well, I love the pose with the fists on the hips.
Who says we don't have good-looking spacefarers? Look at that. Is there air? Do they pump air? I guess they do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's why it's all inflated like that.
Nice.
So
Does it have any valves? Because I'd be worried.
I don't think it explodes.
Zing.
You're harsh, man. You're harsh. Correct, but harsh.
Star of This Week in Space, Mr. Rod Pyle. Subscribe. Join the National Space Society if you believe in space exploration and you want to support.
Well, but join Club Twit first.
Do both.
Both.
They're well worth it. Thank you, Rod. It's so great to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great pleasure to see you. And
Always
carry on.
Have a great Father's Day.
Yes,
You too.
happy Father's Day.
Take care.
Let's all hear from our kids.
Yes, let's. Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice?
No, you don't want to hear from your kids because that would not be nice.
Frightening. Truly frightening.
Daddy.
I was like, I wasn't that broke in college. I don't understand. That was a donation joke.
I got it. I hate to do it, but John Ashley, what should we do? We should pause.
Do you want to pause?
And then we
Refresh
should
a bit?
take a call. How about that?
How about we refresh a little bit?
Yeah.
And then
You were watching the fabulous Ask the Tech Guy show with Micah Sargent, host of iOS Today, Tech News Weekly, Ask the Tech Guys, a regular on most of our shows. And I am some old guy named Leo Laporte. Thank you for being here. On we go with the show with a call.
All right. We haven't talked to Kevin in a bit. I figure it'd be nice to say hi.
Let's see what Kevin's up to. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Leo, Micah.
Welcome.
Hello, Kevin.
Remind me, where are you calling from? Well, it looks like Las Vegas. I would guess the Bellagio. The Bellagio Hotel.
Going to stay cool.
Yay. Yeah, I hear you got an early heat wave in Vegas.
Yeah, well, I moved out here about 3 years ago, and they had records in the first week of June, and we're breaking them, some of them this last week.
Yikes.
So, well, there you go. It's only 102 today, though.
Staying inside, I hope.
Balmy.
Definitely inside and in the pool.
Heat. It's a dry
Well, that's the other thing. I got to worry about my contacts drying out and my skin drying out.
Oh, that's awful.
Moisturizer all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, the reason I was calling is I had to kind of take issue a little bit with your chastising poor Paris Martineau about her tab fetish, because I sort of have one myself. I use tab groups.
In Firefox?
No, actually, this is in Safari.
Mm-hmm.
Safari, okay.
I know she uses. She doesn't use Safari, but the thing that's different though is I don't use different. I use the same browser window for all of my tab groups and all my tabs. So I have it set to when I click on a link to open in a new tab, and it opens in that particular tab group. I've got like 25 different tab groups and like 20 tabs in each group. So I'm kind of a fiend with that, but that's sort of my favorite way of doing it. But the thing is it works great for when I have it set to open up in the same browser in a tab when I click a link. But if I'm in Messages or in email and I click a link, it opens a new browser window. I can't get it to open in the existing window. And it's really annoying because I like just having one browser window open because I have several other programs going at the same time. And I don't like to have too many windows open when I have that. So is there anything I can do to get Messages and email or any other program when I click a link to open in the current window?
That is a great question. So I'm looking. Okay, this is odd because I have Safari open, and I went into my messages and I clicked on a link in my messages, and it's opening as a new tab in Safari. It's not opening in a whole new window in Safari. So I don't know why yours is not doing that.
Is there a setting in messages or in email or in Safari that I'm not doing right?
That's what I'm looking at now, and I don't see anything that says, open tabs in new or the same window.
Yeah, I see, because I have the settings open now. In tabs, it has always show website titles in tab, open pages in tabs instead of window, always.
Yeah.
I have that.
Let me see if I'm using a tab group, what happens if so I've opened up a tab group, and now I'm going to try, let me open up a tab group that actually has multiple tabs. Now I'm going to try opening up that same, that time it opened up in a new, so for some reason, the system does not want to open a tab in a tab group if you click in messages or email. It sounds like it's just something that they've decided is the way things need to be done. Because when I did that, it refused to open in the tab group. So my guess is they feel like you should be in control of your tab group, in the sense that you are creating a tab group that has to do with a specific category. And so if you then go into your messages and you just open up a link, you wouldn't necessarily, in theory, want that in your tab group. But again, that's just me kind of speculating on why that's the case. But yeah, I don't see this as a preference to change anywhere with tab groups.
So I'm leaving myself out of this. I don't use Safari.
Yeah, I use it every day, and I've not ever had that happen.
How many tabs, out of curiosity, Kevin, do you have open at the same time?
I don't have a lot of them open, but I have them available.
I guess that's like the window's not open. It's just a link, sort of. I guess, does that count? I guess that counts as a tab. I've been using Arc on the Mac, and I'm very fond of it. And instead of tabs, Arc has this really nice little sidebar where open windows are just kind of added to the bookmarks, which I think is kind of cool. And I don't. Do you have your tabs on the side like this, or on the top?
On the left side.
Yeah, I think if you have a lot of tabs, this is what Steve Gibson's contention is. We have much more room nowadays on our widescreen monitors. So if you have a lot of tabs, it makes sense to put the tabs on the left as opposed to the top, where it's a little more constrained.
So I group them for different purposes, like banking, investment.
Let me show you. This is what I was going to show you. So Arc allows you to have kind of a spaces thing. You can barely see it, but down at the bottom here, I have different spaces, which are control 1, 2, 3, or I have little icons, and they have entirely different sets of. In my case, they're bookmarks because they're not open. But it sounds like the distinction between bookmarks and tabs is slim anyway. If you had open pages, they would also appear as this page does. Twit Community is already on here, so it's part of. It's just in this list, and I love it that I can have 3 different groupings. This is my news. Actually, this is my general stuff. This is coding, so all my coding stuff is in one space, and this is my social. What is this? No, this is news. So the nice thing about this is, notice that I've got Twit Community open here, our Twit forums. When I go to another space, it goes away, so I can have something else open here. Let's have, Gemini open there. And then if I go to this, I can have something else open here. Let's have our Twit dashboard, our Twit social. So each of these is, in effect, a different tab grouping with different pages that are open. I really like that. Might look at Arc. It's free. It's a Chromium-based browser, and I think it does a really interesting take on tabs, if you will. They're not exactly tabs. They're not exactly bookmarks. Have you figured it out yet? I gave you some time.
Yeah, I also just tried doing different modifiers to see if that would change it. And no, I think that
like shift or command.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think what has gone on here is that the UI designers just made a choice.
They said, not for you.
They said,
no.
You know, you if you're opening something from another app, don't mess with somebody's tab groups, unfortunately.
I guess that kind of makes sense.
It does make sense when I think about it. But for somebody who wants it to do that, it would be great to have the option.
I guess I just have to drag that to whatever tab group I have once it opens up. And
the other option would be to, right click on that link, copy the link, and then open up a tab, paste it there. Yeah. It's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Well, maybe somebody will come up with something. I don't know. The latest, they just announced the new one at WWDC. So possibly we might see something come up because we haven't seen everything that might be.
Exactly. Yeah, they could have made that change. You can also, this is legitimate. You could submit some feedback.apple.com, and say that that's something that you want to change in Safari. And if other people have also said that that's something they want, then it's possible that change takes place.
If you're using a different default browser, does the same behavior?
Well, other browsers don't use tab groups in the same way. Yeah. So it wouldn't. But
I'm curious what Arc might do.
Yeah.
In this case, because they have spaces which are essentially like tab groups,
right? Except
it's bookmarks plus tabs. I would really look at Arc. I think Arc is amazing. It's free. It's based on Chrome. Nobody these days has just one browser. Safari is the default browser with Mac, but most
Safari's my main, Firefox is my backup, but I've got Chrome on here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got all three, but I use Safari because I like the fact that I have everything, all the URLs just automatically, and my passwords automatically open it up, so I don't have to keep passwords all the time. It's really inconvenient.
Yeah, Bitwarden
By the way,
does that now.
Your neck of the woods again, my old stomping grounds in about a week and a half, taking a little break from the heat. I'm going up to San Francisco for the Organist Guild convention.
Oh, fun.
Very cool.
I'll be able to hopefully hobnob with some of my fellow colleagues and organists up there.
Are these Wurlitzers? Are these pipe organs? Are these electronic organs?
The American Guild of Organists, the AGO, which is a national organization. And I belonged to the San Francisco chapter when I was living there. Now I'm in the Southern Nevada chapter. But they're having the annual convention up there. So I said, well, I hadn't had a chance to do some vacationing and Turismo stuff since I left during the pandemic.
Fun.
So now's the chance to kind of go up to the wine country. And
come visit us if you're in the neighborhood. If I'm around, I'll give you a tour.
I have to see. I'm going to be up there on the 26th, the Wednesday I'm driving up. So I'll be there for a few days before the convention starts. So maybe we can hook up.
Well, just send me a note, and I'll if I'm around, I will give you a little tour. By the way, you know that the late Bob Pyle, our great friend Bob Pyle, man who makes our microphones and of course is a host of Ham Nation, was a very famous organist. Did you know Bob?
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Oh yeah, he used to play the mighty Wurlitzers. At his you remember the old movie theaters used to have these giant organs. He played the Wurlitzer at the Fox Theater in St. Louis. Started doing that at the age of 15, and they'd have these thousands. In fact, that's how he became a sound guy, because in his Wikipedia it says he learned how to tune and voice the thousands of pipes in the Wurlitzer, which taught him how to listen and dissect discrete tones. An important skill throughout his career as a sound man. He studied with Stan Can, the legendary Stan Can, and played the Wurlitzer. I never did get to hear him perform, but he's quite famous for building pipe organ installations and playing them.
Is that German?
What?
The Wurlitzer.
No, it's a maker of organs.
Right? Is it a German company?
I don't know. Is the Rudolf Wurlitzer company? It's from Cincinnati, Ohio, and North Tonawanda, New York.
Guess not.
So no.
Speaking of that, I have a quick.
You're right. Franz Rudolf Wurlitzer was an immigrant from Schöneck, Saxony. He founded it in Cincinnati, but he was German. So
Got it.
Very good. Very good.
Quick story about organs, the theater organs, because, the pizza in pipes and all the pizza joints used to have,
Right.
the big theater organs there as a big attraction. Of course, that went out of style. And about 30 years ago or so, they went out of business. The one in Tanfran, or not Tanfran, up by Daly City, Ceremony.
Yeah.
There was a
there pizza and pipes there? I did not know that. It must have been before my time. I don't.
And then about 3 years later, I was with a friend up in the wine country. We were touring some different places in Napa. Went to a small winery and talked to the winemaker there. And he says, and I mentioned, I was an organist and a musician. He says, "Oh, well, you might be interested in this." They got the parts. They got the entire organ, and it was it's taken apart by somebody and stored there at his barn on his property in this winery.
Wow.
And I said, well, it's a shame to see that it's there. You want to, there's a lot of organizations that would like to probably
reconfigure it. Yeah.
From an historical point of view. So that was kind of an interesting, just out of the blue, I just happened to be talking to him about that. So I don't know if he still got the parts there, but it's interesting to see if somebody would contact him and say, please.
Let's rebuild it. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that was an interesting kind of trip, a wine trip.
Yeah. Kevin, thanks for calling, and have a great time at the AGO.
And perhaps we'll see you.
Yeah, maybe we'll see you up here.
See what my schedule looks like. I'm going to try to do a little vacationing, and then I'll be tied up during the whole convention.
You can't
of course,
really pack a pipe organ
in
your getaway bag,
no,
unfortunately.
You ship it ahead of time.
Yeah. That's why I play the ukulele. Yeah, it's small.
That's why I use the harmonica.
The main venue is in the Marriott in San Francisco, but of course they're going to be shuttling us to all the different venues. Stanford, Berkeley, of course, Grace Cathedral.
Fun. Oh, Grace has a beautiful organ. That's ironic because that Marriott in San Francisco, they call the jukebox Marriott because it looks like a giant jukebox on the skyline. And Wurlitzer was famous not only for its organs, but for its jukeboxes. And they say there's no coincidences anymore. Hey, we're going to let you go, Kevin. We got to run, but thank you. Have a great trip, and we'll see you soon up here.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Leo, thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye. Do you play an instrument?
No, sadly.
Me neither. I deeply regret that. I feel like
it's one of those things that I have on my list. I want to learn to play the piano.
Yeah. I have a friend who was in his 60s, retired. He was a very famous DJ in San Francisco. Said, I want to keep my mind active, learn to play the piano.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys, and now it's time to put our producer to work. Hey, maybe I should
do first time in the show.
Should I do an email?
Let's do an email.
Do an email.
I haven't done any emails today.
Email
time. By the way, I got a text during that call from my daughter.
Oh, good.
So now the chain is complete. This is from Henry. Not my Henry.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Leah and Micah. Love your show. Was hoping you can guide me. I have an idea for an app, but I have zero experience with programming. I'm reaching out to see where you can point me to start. I'm looking to create a simple search app where folks can connect with each other. Hopefully create the app, figure out the back end part, and publish it in the stores for Apple and Android. Any guidance would be appreciated. Well, you're not ambitious at all, are you?
So here's what I would say first. First and foremost, I would say maybe it's a good idea. What is the phrase at Thanksgiving time when your eyes are bigger than your stomach?
Oh, yes.
Maybe pick a platform first. Going on both iOS and Android means that you are trying to build for both of those platforms, which means that things can get complicated. What I was going to recommend is if you're thinking about doing it for Apple, there's a fantastic course available for free called 100 Days of Swift. That is at hackingwithswift.com. And you spend 100 days learning how to code with Swift, which is Apple's programming language. And by the end of it, you are able to create an app with Swift. And I have heard from a number of developers, new developers, who have said that that is how they got their start in learning Swift and thereby learning how to make an app. On the Android side, I'd be curious if Leo has any advice there, if our listeners have any advice.
First of all, I get approached a lot by people who say, I have a brilliant idea for an app. How do I do it? And the thing I think it's really important to tell people, you also sometimes will run into people say, I've got a great invention. I just need somebody to foot the bill.
Yeah.
Ideas are cheap. You and I have, we have many ideas before
Plenty
breakfast.
Of ideas, yeah.
It's the implementation that is difficult. So I think often people do start with an idea and say, well, now I want to do all the other stuff. And the idea was the easiest part of that.
Yeah.
So maybe you have a great idea, but now you're saying a lot more. There are places you can hire, and I've seen people do this, freelance coders, and you can give them an idea and they can code it. But honestly, if you can code, you probably have your own ideas. So it really depends. Do you want to learn to code? That's a different question than I have a great idea and I want to make an app. If you want to learn to code, I agree with Micah. There's also, if you have an iPad or an iPhone, Swift Playgrounds will get you from zero to an app. They'll actually, you can design an app in Swift Playgrounds and put it on the App Store. The entire, piece of all the pieces of the puzzle in one thing, the Swift Playgrounds. So maybe start with that. If you really say, no, I have a brilliant idea, I am willing to devote full time for the next 3 years in making it a reality, because that's how long it's going to take, and I want to make it for iOS and Android, there are cross-platform programming environments. The one I'd probably recommend, although I would recommend Dart plus Flutter. Flutter is designed to do both iOS and Android apps. It's from Google. There's only one little, small little thing, which is they just fired the entire team. But don't necessarily mean that that's the end of the line. I think Flutter is a very good cross-platform app generating tool, and it's really great. And you'll learn a coding language called Dart that's very, very good, and you'll learn good habits, and you may just find a new hobby or a new career that you really enjoy, because coding is great. Sometimes maybe just that kernel of an idea is enough to get you through the very great mountain you have to climb to learn how to make it. But if all you really have is an idea and the coding isn't like the thing you really want to do, I'd say, maybe don't. Or get a freelancer, go to there are many places where you can hire freelance coders. But that's also can be a recipe for disaster. I always get nervous when somebody says, I have a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Because that's the easy part. You just did the easiest thing in the world. I get them in the shower.
Yeah.
It's the time.
It's a whole nother thing to commit to the idea and stick with the idea and go with the idea. I think, if the email had been worded as, I want to learn how to code, that's a different thing versus here's this idea that I have,
right,
and I want to make it happen.
It was a different question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let me just reread the first sentence. I have an idea for an app, but I have zero experience with programming. If you said to us, I want to learn how to code, that's a different question.
It is.
The idea is the easy part. If you want to learn how to code, there's some great things. Really, it's a good time to do that, right?
There's every reason to learn how to code, including making that idea a reality.
Right. And coding, by the way, is my favorite thing in the world to do. I love to code, but I don't do anything with it. I just code because it's like solving crossword puzzles. It's fun. Here's a MacBook audio question for you. Steve writes.
Hello, Steve.
Oh, he also says, I'm joining Club Twit today. You don't have to join Club Twit to get us to answer
that is correct
question, but it sure helps. Hi, guys. The problem, I'll tell you about Club Twit in a minute. The problem started when I upgraded to Sonoma, the most recent version of Mac OS. I have an iPhone 13 Pro. I get this notice every few minutes that the audio disconnected. Steve's iPhone microphone is not available. In fact, he actually has a little picture of it here, which we can show.
Yeah.
Little pop-up right
Steve's
there.
iPhone microphone is not available.
It's kind of weird. So he says, this pops up with an irritating noise, and I want it to stop. I've looked in settings on both devices for a way to disconnect them or delete the phone as a potential microphone, but no luck. Why would he get this notice over and over again?
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm not sure. So what I'm guessing probably happened is that it is the continuity camera setting that when you plug in the iPhone, it kind of pairs it with the MacBook. And so that's happening. And then something is causing that connection to break.
Can you tell from that what the app is? I can't figure. By the way, Steve continues on in the message that he discovered our shows when I was on Adam Carolla's podcast. And he's the guy who made, and I remember this very well, Adam Carolla's Mangria, which was a wine for men, fruit wine combo for men. And I remember we got a bottle of Mangria and drank it. So thank you, Steve.
So my recommendation is this, first and foremost. On your Mac, go to an application called Audio MIDI Setup.
Oh.
You can do that by holding down the command key and hitting spacebar and then type in MIDI, at which point you will see Audio MIDI Setup appear. In there, on the left side, are all of the possible inputs and outputs.
Including your phone
microphone might show up there. So you're going to highlight it.
Wow.
And then you're going to hit the minus icon at the bottom to remove it.
Delete it.
Yes. Is yours blacked out? Is it grayed out?
No, it's not.
Okay, I know you don't want to remove it. No, you shouldn't remove it.
But I could if I press minus, and then that would say, this doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, my minus is grayed out.
Is it gone? Okay,
Yeah.
so
that's because it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it would be grayed out. So
I can't remove any of these suckers.
That's interesting.
None of them have a minus.
So here was my thinking here is basically what you're trying to do is kind of force repairing those two things.
Right.
The other thing that you can do is, Steve, on your iPhone, you launch the settings app, you choose general, and then you go into AirPlay and handoff. In there is a section called continuity camera. You have that toggle, I'm almost certain, turned on. You're going to toggle off that setting and then toggle it back on again if you want to use your phone as a camera and microphone. If you don't want to, then just keep it turned off. But by toggling it off and back on again, it kind of unpairs the two, and then you should be able to repair after that. So yeah, something is causing your Mac to try to pair with your phone as an audio source, and then the two are not properly pairing, and that's what's causing that alert to pop up. So we're just trying to find different ways to kind of tell the system, whoa, let's do this again and let's get it figured out.
Yeah.
Right back in though. I'd love to hear if that works for you. If
that's a really
turning on and off that handoff works.
I have to say, every once in a while my Mac will go crazy and keep popping up the same alert. The last one was, and it would say your recovery contact is messed up, and I would go to the recovery contacts, delete it. I couldn't delete it. It was permanent. They said you can't delete it. The app is not available or something like that. And then it would pop it up. And every time I went there to confirm the details, it would pop up again. It never stopped. Never stopped. You know what my fix was? I wiped the darn Macintosh and restarted.
Yikes.
And every once in a while, this happens with Apple. It's a hard thing, but sometimes I think what happens is settings files deep within the system get their permissions modified and they can't write to it, or it gets corrupted and they can't fix it. And then you're going to get this constant harassment of, you got to fix it, you got to fix it, you got to fix it. I've had the same thing happen with my Apple ID. Relog into your Apple ID, relog into your Apple ID.
Oh, yeah, that one's annoying. Yep.
And honestly, I think it's a flaw in the low level. I did disk recovery to try to, disk check to, nothing fixed it. So I just wiped the drive and started over.
It's
gone
frustrating
now.
when that happens.
But yeah, so it wasn't anything, in fact, wrong with my recovery contacts. So that's why I think it was a low-level file that got corrupted. And I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere. I couldn't figure it out. So I just started.
And sometimes that happens.
It's not ideal.
No. But yeah, let us know if that works for you.
Thank you, Steve. And thanks for the mangria. You know, it would be really good with a runza. Runza and a mangria. Now that's a breakfast at champions. One more. Randy M. This is again for you. Randy says, hi, Mike and Leo, longtime Twit listener. Appreciated many of your shows, including how Security Now helped me move to 1Password as my new password manager after the LastPass fiasco. Yeah, we moved you to LastPass. So my bad. Thank goodness Steve Gibson helped us move to a better one. I'm now trying to move the 2FAS app for my 2FA, two-factor information. I have a collection of music. Oh, that was just a prelude.
Okay.
Not asking anything about that. Here's my question. I have a collection of music files that I've added to my Apple Music library and Mac. Very much like our earlier caller.
Yeah.
I've gotten rid of the physical CDs. I want them on my iPhone as well in the Apple Music app without paying a subscription for it. Is there something I can do to help with this? So he's willing to pay for a subscription for a month. So that's, I think, where iTunes Match would be a solution.
Yeah, but okay, so you bought the music, it's in Apple Music's, it's in your Apple Music library, and you want the music to appear on your phone. All you have to do is plug your iPhone into your Mac, and then in Finder, you select your iPhone, and under the section that has syncing for music, you just make sure that those songs that you have are selected.
But won't it download them onto the iPhone? It doesn't download them?
It'll sync them by literally transferring the files over. If you want to do it free of any connection, then yes, you will need to pay for iTunes Match. But
so see, this is the thing. We're kind of conditioned now to the idea that we stream our music.
Right.
And I don't want to have 50, I have 100,000 songs or something. I don't want them all on my phone. So what I want to see is the little icon with the cloud that says, well, you can play it if you want.
In
You'll
that
be
case,
streaming
you need to use Match.
There's no way to get all of the stuff that's on my Mac to show up as an icon, not the full file.
No, because you would, if you're doing that, then you're using Apple's server, so they want you to pay for it.
Right.
You could.
So you Match, you pay it once, actually $25 a year.
Yeah, I think it's something.
You pay once. And what it does, it takes all the files that you've ripped from CD, matches them to the identical files, often higher, well, not necessarily higher quality, but good quality. Depends how you ripped it. If you ripped it lossless, well, you're out of luck. You're going to get an AAC file, 256 kilobit AAC file. What it does, though, it matches it to the library, the iTunes Music library, and then gives you an entry in your library, not necessarily downloading them, but an entry in the library, and tells its own servers, that he owns all this music, which means it will then show up on iTunes on your phone.
Yes. The other option that you would have, if you did want to do the whole files thing, is you could put it in your iCloud drive. And then you're not going to get the same experience because you're playing those files kind of, I guess, like in a bespoke method, so to speak. But you could do it that way. So if you wanted to keep them from taking up all of your storage space,
it's called music, not iTunes.
You could put them in iCloud Drive. You could also put them in Dropbox or somewhere else, and then just play them kind of one off. But I think it's not as easy, not as integrated as just having them in music. Which again, if you've got enough storage space, plug in your phone and sync them directly. If you
could just have it on your phone.
Yeah, and otherwise, yes, you'll need to use something like iTunes Match. I've included a link in the show notes to the support page showing you how to get iTunes Match.
See what it says in iTunes Match? iTunes Match gives you access to all your music on all your devices, even songs you've imported from other sources like CDs. It's exactly what he wants to do.
And it's $25.
But you only have to do that once. It's not a subscription. You pay $25,
right?
Transfer it all over, and then you're done. Cancel immediately.
Yes.
Because you're done. You have everything. Now you're going to get it for a year. So I think it is a year, isn't it?
It's a year. The only reason that you'd want to keep it is if you wanted to then buy new CDs and match those.
Yeah. I did that. I'll admit it, pirated a ton of stuff back in the Napster day. This is before you were born. But there was this program called Napster, and you would get all the music that you ever bought in your life or ever heard of. And I downloaded a ton of songs, but the quality was all over the place. They were mostly MP3s. Some of them were like 96 kilobit MP3s. They were terrible.
I'm of the LimeWire era.
LimeWire came later, right? So I had this collection of music, and this was Apple's deal with the music industry, I'm convinced. So they invented iTunes Match just so you could suddenly make yourself legal. It also removes copy protection from stuff you bought in the Apple Store. So you no longer have copy protection. It takes even a 96 kilobit MP3, it turns it into a 256 kilobit AAC, which is very, very high quality. The only catch with Match, sometimes you have oddball recordings or live recordings that will inadvertently match to the studio recording. So you got to pay attention to that.
The match catch.
The match catch sometimes doesn't work. Thank you for the questions. Those were good ones. I liked it.
Great questions.
Now, I have a question for you. Are you yet a member of Club Twit?
Yes.
You've heard us mention this many times before. It's not required. You know, I'm not a paywall kind of person. I'm not like, oh, you can't listen to our shows if you don't pay us. So all of our shows are available ad-supported. But this is the bad news, and it's happening everywhere. Did you see iHeart is about to go bankrupt? Because ad sales have dropped off so dramatically. We're in the same boat. We're a lot smaller company. We can't go to our creditors and say, hey, could you refinance? No, we've got to pay the bills. We got to pay Micah. We got to pay for the lights. We got to pay the rent. So with a drop off in ad revenue, we're faced with kind of a crunch, which is why we started Club Twit. It's a chance for you to support what we do for $7 a month. Because you're giving us money, we don't give you any ads. You don't have to listen to the ads. All the shows are available for you ad-free. Plus video from shows we only do in audio, like Micah's Hands on Macintosh, iOS Today, Home Theater Geeks with Scott Wilkinson, Hands on Windows with Paul Thread. All of those shows are audio only and to the public, but the club members get the video. You get access to the Discord. Great place to hang with really smart people. And you may say, well, Leo, you already got 12,000 members. What do you need more for? That covers 1/2 of our payroll. I was so excited. I said to Lisa, I said, we got the payroll covered right now. She said, yeah, we pay people twice a month. So it's half. It's 2 weeks of our payroll per month. We have to cover the other half. I would like to see 24,000. Then we would cover our payroll. Wouldn't that be nice? You can help. Just takes one of you. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. Join the club. We would love to have you. It's a great group. I think you'll think there's lots of benefit to it. You can say it proud. I'm a Club Twit member. But we really do need your help. I hate to say it. We really do. And I wish we didn't. We were fat and happy for many years. Advertisers paid us a premium, frankly. Because they wanted to reach you, because you guys are quality. We didn't get to episode 2029 by delivering yonk. 1-888-724-2884 is the phone number. atg@twit.tv is the email. If you like to Zoom it, call.twit.tv. Who?
I know. It's Chris Marquardt.
Oh, photo guy, Chris Marquardt, Net Buoy, joining us from the Viewfinder Villa. Hello, Chris.
Gentlemen, how are you?
I am great, Nabui. It's Nubui on Flickr, if you want to know.
Oh, okay. I was like, what is that name?
What is his name?
That's a very, very old nick. I think that was my first nick that I acquired in 1991.
Wow.
So that's how old I am.
Well, I've known you since when? 2006. So we go back a long way. I was just looking on Flickr. That's the photo sharing site we use for sharing your photos for the photo assignments. And I was just looking, and I realized I have been a professional paid member at Flickr since 2004.
Wow.
Since forever.
Since it began, practically, which is really awesome. I got 9,000 photos there. I still think it's one of the best photo sharing sites in the world. I really like it. And each month, we have a little photo assignment for you. In fact, you should go to the Tech Guy group and join so that you can participate in the photo assignments. This week, our assignment was Minimalist.
The Minimalist assignment. Yes, we've received a great bunch of pictures. I'm really happy with what people have submitted here. really, it was a tough choice this time, but again, I've taken the time to go through them, and I chose 3, and here's the first one by Jose Luis Urbieta, A Touch of Color. So I like this a lot. So what we're seeing here is this, what is that? A chair, a yellow plastic chair on a bridge in front of a building. And it's so clear what the subject is. It's obviously the yellow chair. It's a bright color. It really gets all the attention, but it's kind of tucked away to the side. And you could imagine this picture to be like, let's say, a movie poster. There's so much space above this chair to put some copies, some titles, some things on there. So that's a good measure for a minimalist photo. So
very nice.
I really like that.
Very nice.
I really like that. The second one is another very sparse picture, very much along the lines of the assignment. Greg Bilton shot this one, boat on the ocean, and what we're looking at is, well, it's an ocean view, some gray weather, and there's pretty much only 3 things on this picture. There's the sea, of course. There's a boat outside, and there's it looks like a lifeguard station or something on the beach.
I love that.
And it's very minimalist. Again, lots of space in photography. We call this negative space, the space that is not the subject or not the subject. So the sky takes up a lot of space in here, and that, makes it very minimalist. And again, this could be a movie poster as well.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
So, and then last but not least, and this is my absolute favorite of the whole bunch, by Gregory Chesney, Final Cut. And this is a picture that tells like a whole bunch of stories. So what we're looking at is a dark picture inside. It's a door. It's weathered. It's like, it's used. It's well used. And the light in this picture, the place that your eyes get drawn to is a light that's cast through the window blinds. And it makes this pattern on the door and behind it on the wall. And just this, the grungy textures in there, this little light. It's daytime outside. You can see this from the light, but it's a dark indoors thing. That tells you 20 different stories right away.
Beautiful.
So, I really amazing.
It must be so hard though, because we got many more submissions, and I'm sure there were a few in there that you really wanted. Can I give a Leo's runner-up prize?
Totally.
This is. I bet you had this one on your list too. Demi Lenti posted this, what I thought was a marvelous picture, made even more marvelous when I read her description of how she made it. You want to hear this?
Yes.
That is a toy house on a blanket in front of a TV.
No.
She composed the whole thing in her living room. And I think that's just the best story I ever heard, Demi. I love it.
That little cloud above the house.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah, I was going, where is this house? I've never seen a house that...
I'm sure that, Chris, that had to be on your short list. Just an amazing photo.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's movie magic happening right there. In a big movie studio, you would have a big LCD screen behind the actors, and this is the exact same thing, just in your living room.
To me, I think you win the prize for creativity anyway.
Very cool.
So some really fun photos, and we thank every one of you. I mean, you just did a great job. They're all wonderful. I love browsing through our Tech Guide group because we have so many great photographers who submit. But now's your chance, if you missed this month as I did, to start over, because Chris has the fishbowl.
I have the fishbowl, and I'm not afraid to use it. Here we go. Let me pull one out from here. Oh, yeah. This is a nice one.
I need a drum.
Today's assignment is weathered.
Weathered.
Oh, that door could have been included in this one.
Yeah. Or my face.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of ways you could go with weathered.
An HDR photo of your face could those ones. No, it's not you specifically.
Really rubbing it in.
No, just anybody could take it. Really, is that what they're called? HDR photos?
I think high contrast, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't want to give you any ideas.
Sorry.
You could figure this out.
There's so many different ways you can do this.
Weather it up.
It just has to represent in some way weathered. Could be the weather.
I was going to say, yeah.
Could be, who knows? But that's why your creativity gets involved. Here's how you do it. You go out, you take pictures. That's the whole point of this assignment. Take pictures, all new pictures, all month long. You got 4 weeks to do this. When you see one that says to you, that's weathered, whatever that means to you, tag it TG Weathered and upload it to Flickr. Flickr actually lets you tag it when you upload it, and then submit it to the Tech Guy group. If you're not a member, all of this is free. Flickr.com. There's a Tech Guy group in there. You'll know you're in the right place when there's tens of thousands of members. It's really been a fantastic experience. And we would love to have you in the group. And then in 4 weeks, Chris will come back and, let us know what his favorites are. And maybe you'll get a Leo's runner-up if you do something really wacky. Chris, sounds cool. You are awesome. What's your next excursion?
Next excursion is in spring next year, another Eastern European photo road trip.
How fun. You can find out about Chris's photo tours, his workshops, his coaching, and more at discoverthetopfloor.com. He also has some great books. I have the film book and the wide angle book, constantly inspired by your writings. All of this at discoverthetopfloor.com. And Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris,
for staying up and joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We appreciate it. We will see you in a month, 4 weeks.
Take care. Bye.
I'm going to go out and get weathered just to get a good shot, just for the shot. Wow, very cool. All right, more questions.
Yes. I'm going to try and pick up on Jim from Hollywood Hills, that is.
He's up in the hills.
Jim.
Hello, Jim.
Hello, Jim.
Jim, you should probably unmute your mic if you can, please.
*6.
All right, there we go.
Hey,
okay.
Jim.
Oh, it's Jim.
Where are you calling from again? Oh, we've talked.
Hollywood.
We know Jim, Hollywood Hills. He's up in the hills. There he is, riding his rover.
On the moon, all 40,000 square feet of it, from the Earth to the moon.
Nice. Very nice.
Lit by an artificial sun, 250,000 watts.
Wow.
One light source.
Wow.
Lit all 40,000 square feet.
Wow. And did you do sound on that picture too?
Well, I did for some of it. Most of what I did was communications on the lunar surface between the
Roger.
Yeah, exactly. We had the performers in their suits. They had to talk to the director, the stunt coordinator. I kept them entertained during the long periods between the shots. So that was quite interesting.
I realize that I made a promise to you, Jim, last week, and I have yet to come back on that promise.
Perfectly okay.
I am downloading right now the top secret 2,000-page manuscript. And by the way, Google is taking some time. This is a big file. Because
there's pictures in there.
Well, that's fine. I mean, let's make it big, right? Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see if I got it. Yes, I did. It's a docm file. Is that right?
Yeah, because it's got macros.
Well, those macros, of course, won't be preserved, since what I'm proposing is opening it in a very old school Macintosh word processor called Nisus Writer. Nisus. Nisus has been around forever and a day. But one of the things that Nisus... So Jim has been calling us for the last couple of years saying this file is too big for Word. How can I edit all 2,000 pages, do search and replace and so forth in any word processor? Is there anything that would handle it? And we've yet to come up with anything that will. We know Word is a pig. It won't. But I do remember, I later remembered that I used to use Nicest Writer because it would page the documents from disk. It very proudly, they said, we can open any size file. Well, let's find out. So here is your Doc M. I am going to open this file right now in Nicest Writer. And let's see. It might take a little while to... Oh, that's the M.
Oh.
Wait a minute. That might be the M. Let's see if we get some text. It may not. You may have to save it out as a docx. Yeah, it's not like in that Word format.
Oh.
So gobbledygook.
Yeah, the macros were necessary to keep the numbering consistent.
Right.
Page numbering.
So send me export it to docx. It's supposed to read Word files. But I think the Doc M is maybe throwing it completely.
Okay.
That does not look good, does it? Word does
No.
not store. One of the problems I have with Word is it doesn't store files in ASCII.
Oh, but you've got Windows on there, don't you? You could open it in Word on yours.
Yeah, but Word isn't the...
No, I'm saying open it in Word and export it.
Oh, I could export it myself.
Yeah, locally.
Are you crazy? Are you nuts? All right, let me see.
Is this what you called about, though?
Also, yeah, you should be aware that I can see everybody's video, which I'm not supposed to. Did somebody make me a co-host? Does all your people who are online see everybody? I watched Patrick walk through his house before he settled down, and several other people.
We'll have to figure that out. Thank you for that bug report. I don't know. Boy Genius, is that supposed to happen?
Are they supposed to see each other in the Zoom?
He just did a very well-known emoji.
The shruggy.
The shruggy.
Yeah.
Golly.
We'll consult.
I will convert this file. I'm not going to do it right now, but I will convert this file.
That's fine.
And see if I can open it. Nicest Writer is an amazing word processor.
Okay.
Jim said he'd have to buy a Mac, but he's willing to if it would work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I will figure it out. I will figure it out.
Unless there's an emulator for Windows.
Oh, that.
Yeah, you might be. I'll have to do some research on that as well.
Yeah. Also, Micah, last week when I mentioned that instead of seeing my Zoom name on screen, I saw my administrator's username.
Yes.
You said look for a little 3-dot menu and change it. Couldn't find any 3-dot menu. Then I realized, of course, I hadn't opened Zoom on my computer before I signed in to call Twit TV. When I did that, now you see the Jim from Hollywood Hills, that is.
Ta-da!
So
Ta-da!
another operator error.
Well, I'm glad we got it figured out.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
I'm downloading Microsoft Word.
Oh, I didn't realize you didn't have it already.
Well, of course I don't.
And happy Father's Day, Leo.
Thank you. Are you a dad, Jim?
My students are my children.
Isn't that nice? And that's you can choose them, which is a little bit better.
Well, unfortunately, I had some I couldn't kick out of my last class at UCLA. So,
hey Jim, I will email you back. I will open this in Word
whenever you have the time.
Yeah, because Nicest is really cool because it says no file size limit because it pages it in from the disk, right? Which Word does not. We're just trying to get it all in memory, which obviously is not possible. Yeah. So I will get back to you. I will email you this week, I promise.
Sure.
Okay.
And enjoy the article about Body Double.
Yes, I can't wait to read. I'm so excited. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Take care.
You got it.
I think we might have time for one more. Oh, I have a little tip though for the shruggy emoji.
Mm-hmm.
There is a website that actually is dedicated to just the shrug emoji that you can go there. It's called copytheshrugemoji.com. And all you have to do is go to copytheshrugemoji.com, click on it, and you've got it copied. Now you can paste it. Watch. I'm going to paste it into Discord.
I use a keyboard macro for that.
Well, you don't need it. You just do that.
I type in S shrug and then it makes it happen, which is faster to go to the website.
You actually have a keyboard?
Yeah.
That's, hi, Mom. Hi, Galia.
It's on my phone and my Mac and everywhere.
Look, he did it. That's really cool. Okay. Next call.
Did you have fun with that, Leo?
Copy the shrug. No, look, I guarantee you there are some people right now writing that down. Copy the shrug emoji.
I like Micah, have it saved personally as a little keybind because
that's hysterical.
It's a very good emoji. Come on.
That's wild.
All right. I think we should talk to Patrick.
Hello, Patrick.
Where are you calling from? From where do you call?
Oops.
Hey, there we go. You're live, my friend. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
I happen to be calling from north of a little bit Brampton, north of Ontario, Canada.
Yes.
But I lived and owned a house for 25 years up in Auburn, California.
Oh, nice. Are you Canadian or are you American?
I'm American. I'm up here doing a little work.
Oh, nice.
I work on the road mapping cross-country transmission lines.
Wow.
Doing all of it. So where I live these days is in some obscure hotel room somewhere.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. But that's a really cool job. You see those transmission lines. These are the giant towers, right? That are often running through valleys, and they go for miles and miles. And I think we get so kind of used to the infrastructure surrounding us, we don't see them anymore. Yeah. But if you think about it, electricity is being transported hundreds of miles.
It's kind of wild.
Interstate and everything on these giant wires. That's amazing.
Yeah, we actually, we map them with a high-tech LiDAR sensor from helicopters.
Oh, cool.
And model them, you got the tension or the sag between the tension towers.
Yeah.
Well, that's a function of the temperature of that wire.
Right.
And so we capture that at a particular point in time. We also set up little weather stations to catch the weather. So, the temperature of the wire is based on, outside air temperature, how much wind's blowing across it, how much sun's hitting it, and how much power's running through it. So they take that and stick that into their fancy modeling programs, and they go, okay, what happens when it's 110 degrees out?
I do have one question for you. This is from Jammer B. Don't they already know where these are? What do they need to map them for?
I know, that's a great question. Yes, they do, but we model them in real time so that they can, like I said, stick programs and figure out. And then there's a very large vegetation management to it, whereas
yes,
locate where the wire is going to be in any situation, and then the LiDAR catches everything: trees, buildings, people, cars, and then they can say under what conditions could we potentially hit something, and we got to go out and mitigate that.
So you spend hours a day in the helicopters?
Occasionally, I'm a land surveyor by trade, so I'm in charge of the land surveying aspect of it, but I do sit in the, we call it the aerial sensor operator seat occasionally.
Wow. That's neat. That's really amazing. LiDAR is incredible. This week there was a helicopter flying all over Petaluma, and they had a yellow box in front of it. And I thought that must be a camera, but maybe it was LiDAR. Maybe they were mapping the high tension wires.
Especially because of the weather.
Yeah.
With the heat.
Black box on the front of our helicopter right now, so very good.
Yeah, it's a box. There was something out there. I saw it. I flipped them off just in case it was Google. Hey, if this is for Google Maps, F you. Okay, I did. I seriously did. I came out.
I wonder why he's so upset.
Why is that man so angry? I don't know. I don't like it that they're flying a helicopter with a camera over my house. So I flipped them off.
Us probably, right?
It probably was PG&E according to that.
Even worse. Then I'm even more mad at them. Yeah, Scooter X says PG&E is surveying power lines right now to keep North Coast customers safe. Well, that's where we live in the North. Oh, yeah, that's it. I saw them.
You not only did you see them.
There's that yellow box I saw.
They saw you.
Well, they now have a picture. What does a guy flipping you off in LiDAR look like?
And really still, you might pick it up.
You get a little shape. What can we do for you, my friend?
Okay. My two annoyances that just popped up recently is, first of all, I have an iPhone and an iWatch. And, man, between, I have these dates written down, various of my associates that I've been texting in the past month and a half, and they have iPhones, so it's iMessage, have been going from blue squares to green squares.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them went on 4/23, one of them went on May 5th, and one of them went on June 1st. And I can't figure out why they all of a sudden went to, from blue squares to green squares.
Do they all go out and buy Android phones?
No, they're still all.
So it's commonly thought that the green bubble means you're an Android user.
Yeah,
it's not what it means.
It means that they've switched from using iMessage it means that the system has switched from using iMessage to reach out to them to SMS. And here's when this happens.
It's falling back to SMS.
Yeah, it's a fallback. So what happens, because this actually happens with my mom a lot, she's on a cellular carrier that unfortunately has poor service where she is. So oftentimes what happens is her data connection in that area fails, and iMessage realizes that it cannot send her a message via iMessage, and so it falls back to SMS. Unfortunately, there's a period of time where iMessage will or won't check again if the person has switched back to iMessage, if they have that connection again. And if it's not within that time, then it continues to send it as text messages. But the way that you can solve this is by, on your iPhone, going into settings, then going into messages and scrolling down until you see a section that says send as SMS. That setting is the fallback setting. That says that when iMessage is unavailable, I want you to send as an SMS. If you turn that off, and then you go into those specific contacts that up to this point you haven't been able to reach via iMessage, that should force the system to recheck that those phone numbers, those contacts are available via iMessage and give you access to them again with blue bubbles. At that point, you can then choose to go back into the messages settings and turn back on send as SMS as the backup if you want to. I have mine turned off specifically because I talk to my mom a lot and I know that she just has a cellular issue. So it waits until it gets reconnected to iMessage and then sends it.
But you might want to leave it on just so that you stay in communication,
yeah, it's
right?
A good backup. It's worth having.
I
just have mine
wonder
turned
when
off.
Apple goes to RCS this fall.
That's a good question.
Will they replace SMS? I think it makes sense that they would replace SMS
Send
and
as
MMS
RCS, yeah.
and send as RCS. This, of course, requires the phone companies to support it. Remember, Apple's using data. RCS is a new form kind of communication that doesn't run over the voice lines, but it does require cooperation from your cell company. I remember when Google kind of got on the RCS bandwagon by buying a big RCS company, it was hard for them to convince the phone companies to do this. I think almost all phone companies now are. I don't know what it's like in Brompton, but in the U.S., I think most phone companies now support RCS. So you might have a better fallback than SMS down the road. But that's why they're green, not because they suddenly went out and bought Android phones.
An interesting side note on that is that we do a lot of our communications via text groups. And in certain situations when you're in really sketchy service and text groups won't go through because they're MMSs.
That's right.
But if you text somebody, it can go through because it's just an SMS text.
Right.
So
RCS solves this. And one of the biggest complaints from Android users is I can't be part of a group that's started on Apple Messages because the Apple Message doesn't support groups with SMS, but RCS does. And so this is going to also solve that group issue. It sounds like, though, you're able to have group messages as long as they fall back to SMS.
I believe so.
Okay.
Second question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. This is to do with notifications, specifically to my iWatch. I get very sporadic, inconsistent notifications on my iWatch for iMessage, for WhatsApp, and for Fastmail. And sometimes, man, my iWatch will buzz on me, which I really like. My iWatch buzzes, and then oftentimes it doesn't. And just today I ran into that very thing where what was weird was I wasn't getting anything notifications through WhatsApp to my phone, but when I opened my computer, I have a Windows laptop, and I was running, and I have the WhatsApp app on my Windows computer. It seemed like for a while that when the app would pick up a text, it would buzz my watch, but then all of a sudden it stopped working.
Yeah. So with your Apple Watch, that is, the system tries to be smart. And, anytime a system tries to be smart, it often is not smart, and it's frustrating. But essentially, there's like a tiered notification system. And different apps, unfortunately, have different rules for how the tiered notifications work. It can be the case that an app says, if the notification appears on your desktop first, then don't show it on the Apple Watch. It can be like Slack, where it says, if after 5 minutes you don't see it on the computer, then show it on the iPhone. And then if it doesn't show on the iPhone because you have your iPhone locked, or it's in your pocket or something, then it shows it on the Apple Watch. Messages itself has particular settings. What I recommend that anyone do here whenever they're having trouble seeing Apple Watch notifications is to go into the Watch app on the iPhone and go into the notifications section and then look at the specific apps that you're having trouble with. So if it's messages, you can see if it says mirror my iPhone or it says custom. And if you have something set to custom, then you can choose how it's appearing. You can say, I want to allow notifications to appear on my Apple Watch at all times. I want it to have sound and to haptic vibrate my wrist. I want it to actually repeat the alerts so that if I don't see it the first time, then give it to me again. Or you can just have it mirror your iPhone, meaning that whatever you have the setting set to on your iPhone, it will do the same on the Apple Watch. But if you have your iPhone in front of you, then it's going to send the notification there first. The Apple Watch is secondary to the iPhone at all times and will remain so. You can also do that with third-party apps. So if there's an app that you have from one of the apps, you can choose to toggle on or off the mirror iPhone alerts from. And so you'd want to have that set to toggled on and then go into your notification preferences and turn that on. But yes, what's happening is that somewhere, some device is picking up on the notification first, and that's why your Apple Watch is not seeing it. Yes.
That's a little weirdly inconsistent. Like, not everything will notify you. Just the first thing that gets it.
The first thing that gets it. Exactly. And
that's really terrible.
And that's where, especially whenever it comes to the computer, because sometimes you don't always lock your computer when you're like just looking away from it, right? And they use kind of a locked computer or a turned off display as the means of saying, okay, the person's not going to. Yeah, exactly. So that is troublesome, particularly with some of these apps.
This has been bugging me forever. And Lisa was complaining about it the other day. Thank you for explaining that.
Just go in and choose. That's usually messages that people have the problem with.
Yeah.
Go into your watch apps. See, because people think they go to just the notification settings and settings. No. Open the watch app, then go to settings, then choose custom, not mirror my iPhone, and you can set up custom.
Because she says, I keep getting calls and I never get a notification. She probably is.
Yeah.
On the desktop or somewhere she's not paying attention to. Is there any way to say, notify me every possible place?
By going to each of them and choosing
each of them, go to custom and say, notify me. Okay. So I'm going to help Lisa do that when I get home tonight.
I didn't realize to look in the watch app. I've looked like everywhere else, but I haven't looked there yet.
Yeah. Who knew? Hey, a pleasure talking to you. Go out and map some high tension lines. Have a great day. Take care. Thanks for calling. All righty. Bye-bye. Take care. Well, that's about it for this edition of Ask the Tech Guys. We do this show every Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. You can watch us do it live. In fact, really, it's the best way to do it so that you can call in live. That's on YouTube, youtube.com/twit/live. And then if you're watching and you think, oh, I got a question for these smart people, call 888-724-2884. During the week when we're not on the air, you can still call that number and leave a voicemail message. Right?
Yes.
Also email us.
Email us, atg@twit.tv. You can send text. You can send audio. You can send video. If you send text, it'll appear magically in the mailbox where Leo will reach and grab some mail. Oh,
I'm going to tell a little story.
Mailbox?
You know, in 1949, a legend was born. It all started in Lincoln, Nebraska, with a small cinder block stand with a walk-up order windows. 75 years and 90 locations later, and countless double-dipped onion rings, we're still going strong. It's the 75th anniversary of the Runza. And just because, Micah, you are such a good friend,
I can't eat that, Leo.
I'm going to open this in front of you.
There we go.
It's Runza time. If you're anywhere in the Runza neighborhood, you want to try it? You can try half of it. There you go.
It smells good.
I ordered a case of Runzas. I can't remember why.
Yeah, why did you have these?
Was it on Mac Break Weekly? Was it on Twig? It was on Mac Break Weekly.
No, Twig.
Twig? All right, we'll save some for Paris Martineau.
Did you try it? Is it good?
Yeah, if I try it, you're going to have to take the rest of the show.
Okay, so Leo's going to try that while we say goodbye.
Lots of onions.
Anyway, those are the places you can reach out and call us. And of course, head to not Ask the Tech Guys, techguylabs.com, where you can get the show notes. Join us in the club, twit.tv/clubtwit, and we will see you again soon. Have a great Geek Week.
Week.
Bye-bye.